It is no secret that among the three great Dijutsu within the Naruto universe, the Byakugan and consequently the HYUUGA clan are the least explored. Compared to its counterpart, the Sharingan, very little is known about the Byakugan. That is why the HYUUGA clan is gonna be the center of this what if. So guys, welcome to What If the HYUUGA clan was massacred instead of the Uchiha clan. Part 1. Here is a summary. 5 years before Naruto's graduation, Danzo decides the Mangekyou Sharingan is too important for Konoha to lose. Instead, the Uchiha are appeased by the death of their rival clan at the hands of HYUUGA Niji. The changes this event causes will shake Konoha to its core and force many webs of lies to come undone. We will explore an upgraded Byakugan, a badass, dark, and not useless Hinata, and not as dark Sasuke. This was a fan recommendation, so I gave it a try and honestly enjoyed this fanfic. If you guys like it, I'll continue this series. But before we get into it, like the video, subscribe to the page and hit that naughty bell. With that, guys, enjoy.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
The day before graduation, Yumino Iruka, whose second name was probably Iruka, but maybe not because the weebs enjoy putting their surnames first sometimes, meaning it's nigh impossible to find out which one's which unless they're part of a family, dropped a sheaf of papers down on his desk and raised an eyebrow at the person sat across from him. Care to explain what this is? Naruto Uzumaki, whose first name was probably Naruto, was sat swinging his feet in the opposite chair and nodded confidently. Yup, that's my submission for last week's ninja history homework. Then why is it also a detailed manga of an impassioned love affair between Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo? Iruka asked, turning the page around to show off one particularly steamy panel featuring two old men. Naruto grinned. He was annoyingly hard to be mad at when he got like this. The boy had the widest smile Iruka had ever seen, bright blonde hair, whisker marks on his cheeks, and an orange jacket that was about the least stealthy thing on the entire planet. It was difficult to think, looking at him, that Naruto could possibly do anything wrong, which would be a deadly assumption. Iruka knew this from over 5 years of teaching him. Naruto was a terror, and not for the reason a lot of the adults in the village thought he was. Poor kid, doesn't deserve what crap focus. Naruto, how did you even make this? Iruka gestured at it in disbelief. How do you even know who Shimura Danzo is? That man's existence is an A-rank secret. I tracked down this pale kid who's really good at drawing and asked him for help. Naruto shrugged. He seemed nice. He was the one who told me about the Danzo guy. Apparently, that's his boss. You found Sai. Iruka clarified, eyes widening. You found Sai and got him to spill root secrets. Sai works for a tree. Iruka cut off and sighed. That was Naruto, alright. On the one hand, utterly moronic. On the other, capable of things that would be difficult for even professional ninja. Naruto, he said, I know I told you this homework wasn't that significant. It will be, when the bookshops start selling it tomorrow. MORNING tilde. Naruto snickered. But that's only because your graduation exam is tomorrow. Iruka finished. Naruto blinked twice. Wait, the exam is tomorrow. Suddenly sat up. Wait, that's the graduation exam. Yes. Iruka threw his arms up. Naruto, have you not been studying? Maybe. So if I asked you to summarize what you should have put in your ninja history homework, I would have no idea. Yeah. Naruto smiled. Iruka tilted his head. Naruto, what does Konohagaka mean? No clue, answered the blonde. Also, why do we even use words in the old Warring States languages? So you know what the Warring States period was? Iruka tried, hopeful. No, not at all. Do you know what a chunin is? You're one of those. What's a Kekkei Genkai? That's a superhero. What's a ninja? Naruto. A badass who kicks butt with superpowers and dope fighting skills. Naruto answered with complete confidence. It took a while for Iruka's mouth to close. Then he sat back down, pulled out a piece of paper, and, showcasing some of the supersonic speeds skilled ninja could reach, scrawled down a long list within a few seconds. Okay, he said. These are the subtopic headings of the basic theory a ninja needs to know. You read this, and you find out at least a summary of what all these things are. You understand? Oh, really? Naruto pulled the paper over, glancing at it. Shouldn't I just be practicing the D-rank techniques we gotta know? The exam has a theory section. It does. You've taken it twice already. Did you not do the written test? Haruka sighed, pinching the bridge of his nose. Naruto, you know this is serious, right? You're 12. It's your final year. If you fail this exam, you'll be held back a year, and all your classmates will graduate without you. Naruto looked down, his face going solemn. Yeah, I know. I'm trying. I don't know what all the other kids are doing. I mean, I try to mold the chakra, and it just doesn't want to go. Then you need to focus. Haruka said, more gently this time. Under normal circumstances, Naruto's appalling chakra control would have had him diagnosed with a physical disorder and kicked from the academy, same as would have happened to Rock Lee, if Might Guy hadn't taken him on as a student. If not for that, his appalling grades would have led to the same result. Except, of course, that every adult in the village knew exactly what was wrong with Naruto, and they couldn't afford to leave him languishing alone in his flat on the outskirts of town. I'm busy this evening preparing for the test, Haruka continued. So you go to the library and get answers to those questions, okay? But the librarian hates me. Naruto pouted. Every adult in this village hates me. Naruto, they do. And most of the kids too. There's like 4 people in this village that like me, and one of those is you. Well then, it sounds like you have 3 sources, doesn't it? Haruka pointed out. And if they're busy, go find Mizuki-sensei. He's on revision class duty. Mizuki-sensei would just teach me wrong on purpose. Naruto scowled and looked away. He's done it before. Haruka frowned. Naruto, he's a professional. I'm sure he don't lie to me, Haruka-sensei. Naruto said quietly, not looking up. Haruka closed his mouth, sighed. Alright, good luck, Naruto. Hey, I'll take you to Ramen once you pass. Alright, my treat. Oh, really? Naruto's grin was back. Hell yeah. Okay, I'll go now. See you, Haruka-sensei. Go get him, Naruto, Haruka said, chuckling as the boy set off at a run out into the corridor. Amazing kid. The world takes everything from him, and he still manages to face the day with a smile. I just wish they'd let me tell him the truth. Shaking his head, Haruka sat down and went back to preparing the exam, and that was more screen time than he would get in the entire ensuing story. Hinata HYUUGA, see in this case HYUUGA is an important family that's super story relevant, you'll get the hang of it, was on the verge of a major coronary event. Naruto was in her home. How he'd gotten through the estate's many protective seals without triggering an alarm she had no idea. But he was here, and he was looking at her expectantly. Don't panic. This is a good opportunity. If we're useful, we can make him like us. And maybe if we make him like us, he'll want to spend more time with us. And then maybe she shook her head to clear it, clapped her cheeks, and blinked owlishly at him with wide eyes. Sorry. Chakra. Yay. Naruto nodded, scratching the back of his head sheepishly. I just want a good way to summarize things, you know. I asked Sasuke the other day, but he just said the blue stuff, and I had to pretend it had been a joke, and he's kind of my only friend, so never mind, I can go now. Hinata shouted, making him jump before coughing. Of course, I can help you with anything at all. Oh, nice. Naruto sat down, grinning at her in a way that set her cheeks on fire. So, chakra, right? Hinata knelt, thinking. It was such a basic question, she was almost stumped on how to answer it. Well, chakra is a store of energy contained within the cells of all living things. Oh, Naruto nodded. Like the Force. The Force. Yeah, from Star Wars. Or Magicka from Skyrim. Ah, sure. Note to self, watch Star Wars, watch Skyrim. Chakra is the power source ninja use to cast ninjutsu. We mold it, weaponize it, train to develop it. Yes, ninjutsu. That. Naruto pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. Okay, so ninjutsu is the superpowers, right? Right. Hinata nodded. Ninjutsu refers to all chakra-based techniques, but typically it only means the elemental ones. Like Avatar. Naruto tilted his head. Well, there's 7 elements, in Avatar there's 4. They're not like that. Fire, water, earth, air, lightning, yin, and yang are the nature transformations. Those last 2 are light and dark. You have to master a nature transformation before you can use its techniques properly. Right, and then you can. Naruto made a set of fake hand signs. Yes. Most of the jutsu we're doing tomorrow are so simple they're barely even elemental at all. Okay, Naruto looked back at his list. Okay, I know Taijutsu, that's fighting unarmed fighting techniques. Weapon techniques are Kenjutsu. Totally knew that Naruto was hastily scribbling on the paper. But Jinjutsu, illusions, Hinata said, mind affecting, that sort of thing, rarely a problem for me. Ah, there's also few ninjutsu and they're not on the list, I don't care. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, bye. Naruto jumped up, grinned, and was off. Wait, Hinata reached out after him, but he was already running, and it would have been too awkward to chase him down, just to offer to help him. Damn it. No, it's fine. That was a positive interaction, right? Hinata sighed and turned back to her empty house. Sasuke Uchiha, another important surname. That one was running a taijutsu kata in his room, when he heard a panicked yelp from downstairs. Paused. I thought he'd be here sooner. Sasuke, his big brother's voice called out. The midget's here. Unhand me, foul demon. Followed Naruto's much angrier and higher-pitched voice. Sasuke rolled his eyes, called yeah, he can come in. Itachi, you don't have to catch him every time he sneaks into the house. The door opened, and a yellow and orange missile was flung through to land on the bed with another screech. If I don't, your father will, and he might not be so nice about it. Itachi, a spitting image of his younger brother's raven hair and sharp features, gave Sasuke a wink. Enjoy your date. It's not AO, go fuck yourself. Sasuke rolled his eyes as the door closed, turned to where Naruto was disentangling himself from the sheets. And you don't have to break into my house every time you want to come over, asshole. Knock. Last time I tried knocking, your scary dad didn't let me in. Naruto huffed, sitting up. Relax, I'm getting better. He won't catch me next time. Sure. Sasuke chuckled. He knew full well that his brother, despite only being 5 years older than him at 17, was easily in the top 5 most powerful ninja in the village. Naruto wasn't getting past him for a long while. So, I take it you haven't come for a study session. Actually, Naruto pulled out and brandished a piece of paper. I have in fact come for that thing. You what? Sasuke gaped. When Naruto didn't immediately say psyche and laugh, he whistled. Well, shit, alright. You're actually taking this seriously. I take everything seriously. What do you mean? Naruto looked down at his paper, looked back up. What the heck is a clan? Sasuke barked out a short laugh. What really? A clan? Well, this says I need to know about the clans and their history. So, you know, good place to start. How have you survived school for this long? Sasuke ran a hand through his hair. Okay, clans, in the context you mean, are just big families of ninja. Well, mostly big. Hinata's, you know, alone too, yeah. Naruto looked down for a few seconds, before shaking his head and looking back up. But normally, big. Yeah. There's almost 100 Uchiha. My dad Fugaku is the clan head, which makes Itachi and me clan heirs. Sasuke smirked, more than a little proud of the fact. Konoha has a couple dozen clans, but the only ones that actually matter are the Uchiha, HYUUGA, Sarutobi, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Abiram, Nara, maybe the Senju, but they're basically extinct. Okay? So I won't remember any of those. Naruto warned. I'll write you a list. Sasuke rolled his eyes. You know, the Uzumaki used to be a big clan too, right? Wait, really? Naruto blinked. As in I have people. Sasuke's got wrenched. Sorry. They were a clan from a big village allied with Konoha, but they got attacked in, I think, the Second Shinobi World War. Got wiped out? Damn. Naruto bit his lip, looking away. Sorry, distracted today. No, it's fine, Jude. Sasuke waved a hand. And hey, apparently there were a lot of refugees from that war. I mean, your parents must have made it to Konoha. Odds are you'll probably meet one someday, right? Naruto perked up at the idea. Yeah, totally. Odds are they'll be super evil and super strong, and I'll have to fight them. Hey, probably. Anyway, yeah, shinobi clans. And shinobi is just weeb speak for ninja, right? Please do not call it weeb speak. Yes. Neat. Naruto squinted at his paper. Yuua, final thing. What's the difference between a hidden jutsu and a Kekkei Genkai? Oh, that. Sasuke raised a finger. That part's fun. So, most clans have special techniques that only they know, and they don't teach it to outsiders. That's how Shikamaru can do that shadow puppet thing, and we can't learn it. And those are hidden jutsu. Yeah, but some clans, i.e. mine, go one better. Because we could steal the scrolls to those hidden jutsu if we wanted to, but nobody is ever going to copy this. He screwed his eyes shut and focused. A few seconds passed. Naruto tilted his head. You okay? You look constipated. Sasuke opened his eyes and sighed. Oh, kinda hoped that would work. I was trying to turn on the Sharingan. The what? Uchiha Kekkei Genkai, or Bloodline Limit. Basically, there are some powers that you can only use if you inherit them from your parents. Mine is the Sharingan. It's, well, my eyes go red and swirly, and I can see faster. Naruto wrinkled his nose up. The heck does see faster mean? It makes sense if you don't think about it. Sasuke waved him off. Generally, bloodline limits are either eye powers, combination nature transformations, like being able to put together water and earth to make wood style, or weird things. What's under weird things? Itachi once fought a person who was two people. What does you know what? It's probably not on the exam. Naruto shrugged, looked down at his paper and paused, then looked back. Hang on, Hinata's in a clan. Has she got a bloodline limit? What? Sasuke shook his head in confusion. Yes. What? Did you not see her eyes? She doesn't have pupils. I thought it was a condition. I didn't want to bring it up. Oh, for Kami's sake, in the highest room of the tallest tower in Konoha, sat an old man in white-red robes. He had a pipe in his hands, but the usual wide-brimmed, triangular white hat that came with his office was laid on the desk before him. It was very useful for covering up all the paperwork he was meant to be doing. This was Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third, or technically fifth, Hokage. There were about half a dozen people in the world, at least, that Hiruzen knew about, who could sneak up to his office without being noticed by his guards. But there was only one person in the world that was actually allowed to waltz in any time he wanted. And naturally, Hiruzen's senses were sharp enough to pick up Naruto Uzumaki's presence pretty much the moment he entered the building. That might have been aided by the music. Suum. Hiruzen braced himself, and then the door slammed open. Body once told me the world was gonna roll me. Good evening, Naruto. Hiruzen interrupted, his voice, though quiet, immediately silencing the boys singing. To what do I owe the pleasure? Oh, hey, Gramps. Naruto ran forwards, hopped up, and sat on the desk. Teach me history. Hiruzen blinked. History. Naruto nodded. Yep. History of Konoha. You have 5 minutes. Go. Questioning Naruto was almost never ever worth it. Hiruzen leaned backwards and subtly signaled to the Ambu guards waiting tensely outside his office to stand down. All right, history. Let's see. He raised his pipe to his mouth, puffed on it. Our knowledge of history only really goes back a few hundred years, to the Warring States period. It was a time when the world's myriad clans were constantly scrabbling for power and territory. Then, one day, the leaders of two powerful clans met. Hashirama Senju, and ominous thunder crackled in the distance. Madara Uchiha. There was a significant pause. What are the odds he's not dead and or comes back to life? Naruto asked. Not zero, Hiruzen admitted. They were very good friends despite the fact that they were at war with each other and brokered peace between their clans. Eventually, an alliance made between those two. The HYUUGA and the Sarutobi clan. That's you. Naruto pointed. That is me. Do you have cool secrets? I have a summoning contract with some apes. Dope. Came together to form the first hidden village. We are the village hidden in the leaves, Konohagaka. That's what that means. And the first of the hidden villages. There are 5 important hidden villages, and a few others that aren't relevant to the plot. Gucci. Naruto scooched forwards. And the Hokage is the boss, right? The K-Jar. Hokage refers to the boss of the leaf. Me. Hiruzen smiled. The other ranks are Genin, cannon fodder, Chunin, side characters, and Jonin, actually competent. You don't normally talk about them like that. Well, since you're here on the evening of the graduation exam, Hiruzen paused, waiting for Naruto's concerned chuckle. I figured I'd try something that would stick in your head. Hey, I'll try my best. Naruto pulled some paper from his pocket. Hiruzen recognized Iruka's handwriting and smiled. Need to remember to give that man a raise, okay? Yeah, last thing on the list is Naruto's face fell. Oh, right. Did you? Hiruzen took another drag from his pipe. The tailed beasts. Would you still like to know? Yeah. Probably should. Naruto shifted position on the desk. It was the 9 tails that attacked a village, right? The day I was born. It was. Hiruzen nodded. There are 9 tailed beasts in the world. The first with 1 tail, the second with 2, all the way up to 9. All of them are incredibly powerful, incredibly dangerous. And the 9-tailed fox, the Kyuubi, is the strongest and most dangerous of all. It broke free that day 12 years ago and caused untold destruction in our village. It killed the 4th Hokage, my successor, and forced me to reprise my role. Hiruzen closed his eyes. 12 long years. But sometimes he could still smell the smoke, hear the screams, feel poor Kushina's blood on his hands. There had been many times in his life where he'd fought a battle that seemed impossible, yet won by a combination of luck and quick thinking. But that night had been different. When faced with the demon fox, a beast so mighty it could trample houses, sweep ninja away in droves, and muster chakra that could damn near decimate the village in one blast, there had been no winning, just hoping it killed them slowly enough for Minato Namikaze to get back. But we got it right, Naruto asked, making him look up. We beat the fox. Sealed it away, yes. permanently. The Biju cannot be stopped forever, and the rest, I'm afraid, is classified. Hiruzen gave Naruto an apologetic smile. When you become a Genin tomorrow, perhaps I will be able to tell you more. Naruto didn't respond to that statement with his usual outcry of determination, excitement, and believe it. He just watched Hiruzen with eyes that for a moment looked much older than they should. It's to do with the fox, isn't it? Naruto said. Why they all hate me? Hiruzen frowned. As I said, much information regarding that night is see I know I'm an idiot. But I've been living with this for 12 years. Naruto interrupted, fists clenched. None of the other orphans from that attack get treated like this. It's the fact that I was born on that night, right? Naruto, what the hell did I do wrong, Gramps? He stood up on the desk, glaring. I have a right to, Naruto. The slightest hint of killer intent in Hiruzen's voice, and Naruto froze. Behind him, the two ambush special forces guards, who the boy almost certainly hadn't even noticed, did not lower their weapons. Hiruzen had to give the signal twice before they made themselves scarce again. It is late, he stood, making him Naruto's height even with the desk advantage. And you have a big day tomorrow. I suggest you return home. Sure. Home. Naruto hopped backwards off the desk, turned, and made for the door. Good night, Gramps. Naruto. Hiruzen spoke up again, feeling that he couldn't simply leave it there. Naruto looked back. Yeah. Hiruzen smiled with as much warmth as he could possibly muster for the boy. Good luck tomorrow. I believe in you. Hold tight to the will of fire. Naruto's eyes widened. Then the grin was back. You betcha. Just you wait. I'm gonna be the best Genin the world's ever seen. Then the best Chunin. Then the best Jonin. 'Cause I know what those are now. And then I'm coming for that hat, old man. See you around. He waved, then bolted out the door. The Chunin teacher Mizuki, who didn't have a surname because he died so early in the show, stood alone in his room. I'm gonna ruin Naruto's exam, he said to himself. Then I'm gonna make him steal a forbidden technique for me. Then I'm gonna tell him his deep dark secret. Then I'm gonna kill him. Sure, hope that doesn't happen off screen. 5 years before graduation, the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, sat at his desk in the Hokage Tower. The endless stack of paperwork in front of him was temporarily forgotten, as he leaned back in his chair with a pipe in his mouth. His guard had been dismissed. As far as anyone could tell, he was completely alone in the room. Report, he said softly. The situation is out of control, said the voice of Itachi Uchiha. It seemed to come from atop a bookcase, and the third wasn't sure whether the Uchiha prodigy was actually there or somewhere else in the room, or it was a double bluff, or triple, but the situation was too serious for Hiruzen's usual games. Extrapolate, he said simply. Shisui is dead, Itachi replied. Suicide. And nobody is going to believe it. You will take the blame, the third asked. I have no choice. There was a pause. My Mangekyo has awoken. I see. Hiruzen replied neutrally. As far as the Uchiha knew, that required the murder of one close to you, which I suppose means using the Kodomatsu Kami to stop them is off the cards. I agree, Itachi replied. An interesting choice of words, suggesting it was unfeasible rather than impossible. Hiruzen knew where one of Shisui's eyes had gone. He wondered about the other. The situation is about to escalate, Itachi continued. Before, we had a week. Now, I don't know. I can't continue to hide my disapproval from them. Hokage-sama, I understand. The third replied. It was sometimes hard to remember Itachi was still just 12. So, old friend, do you still insist that the best course of action is a massacre? That was not addressed to Itachi. There was a pause before an unoccupied corner of the room spoke up. The Uchiha should not be exterminated, no. The third raised his eyebrows. Really, Danzo? I'm glad you have regained some sense. Do not mistake my intentions. The voice replied. The primary objective is, and must always be, the protection of Konoha. The Uchiha clan dead is better than a coup d'etat, but it is not optimal. Their ability to obtain the Mangekyo Sharingan makes them an incredible asset to the village, a value which must be weighed. I trust you don't intend to let the attack succeed. The third replied, once again feeling dirtied by the root leader's pragmatism. They intend to kill me, Danzo. I would find that rather upsetting. This week will not end without bloodshed, Danzo replied. But we possess the privilege to choose whose blood. No, I do not believe that we should let them get away with their machinations. That would look bad. We also cannot be seen to appease them for the same reason, the third thought. So you intend to appease them without doing so visibly, which you realize would require them getting more power in the government, which in turn would involve He paused as he realized where Danzo's mind was going. Itachi caught on too. You want us to massacre a different clan. Are you sure you don't just really like clan massacres? The Senju are the object of their hate, but they barely exist as a clan at this point, and lack a reasonable scapegoat. Danzo continued, oblivious to Itachi's insubordination. In Yazuka, Nara, Aburum, none possess enough political power for killing them to do anything, which leaves us with one, the HYUUGA. Hiruzen pinched the bridge of his nose. Danzo, the HYUUGA haven't done anything. We don't need a reason we can justify to the daimyo. Legally, we aren't meeting right now. We need a scapegoat with the power and motive to have reasonably slaughtered their entire clan completely independently. The HYUUGA conveniently provide one. Niji, Itachi whispered. The third winced. The HYUUGA's use of the caged bird seal is questionable. You're looking for the word barbaric. Itachi supplied. Niji does have the skills, and he does have a motive. Hiruzen continued, nodding his head to concede the point. Would he do it, Itachi, for the good of the village? He knew the two boys were close. Itachi paused. He would never kill Hinata. That's the current heir to the main branch. As much as he rants about her, well, you know how I feel about Sasuke. It's ideal to leave at least one alive. Danzo muttered thoughtfully. A male heir would be more convenient, but she should be able to continue the clan. Itachi shuddered, but kept going. Niji's just left the hospital for reasons he won't talk about. Tomorrow, he'll be in fighting shape. And yes, he'll be willing. I'm sure of it. He has a better reason than what we planned for me. At least, which really was just being a really big meanie. Are we certain about this? Said the Hokage. We are going to stop the Uchiha from betraying us by killing the Uchiha's enemies. Pragmatically, it makes sense. Danzo replied. The HYUUGA's value is comparatively limited. The Byakugan doesn't have a Mangekyo. Hiruzen kept carefully silent. There was a blur, and Itachi became visible in the center of the room. He bowed to the third. I'll go tell him. It's class secrecy. I know. He rose and walked towards the door, pausing with this hand on the handle. Niji's never going to forgive himself for this. You know that, right? He vanished in a fluttering of crow's wings. Sarutobi glared at the corner of the room that probably contained Danzo. I'm totally disbanding Root after this. Whatever. A few days later, a 7-year-old Hinata HYUUGA skipped happily back towards the HYUUGA compound. After an afternoon of her favorite pastime, Naruto spotting. She had admittedly gone on a bit longer than she had planned to, and now it was dark out, but the two gate guards she'd expect to chew her out were conspicuously absent. Thinking nothing of it, she was able to walk in unhindered, praising her good luck. She got 10 steps before she saw the first body. Her eyes narrowed at the person conspicuously laying on the pavement, eyes open, looking up to the sky. Auntie, what's wrong? Hinata knelt beside her, shaking her arm, but she didn't move. Frowning, Hinata slowly, carefully, went through the hand seals she had been taught for years, eventually calling out Byakugan, and looking down to assess the woman's chakra network. It wasn't there. There was no signature blue glow, no pulse of energy through her tenketsu. And now that Hinata's eyesight was enhanced, the woman didn't look to be breathing either. Help! Hinata called, scrambling away with a startled gasp. This woman needs help. She turned around, but couldn't see anyone else. So she ran further into the HYUUGA compound, expecting to see the night guard, expecting someone to see her, at least. All she found was more bodies. Crying, she ran past corpse after corpse, all visibly unharmed, but with no life flowing trough their bodies. Her eyes pointed out in painstaking detail every face, every terrified expression. She held back her bile and stumbled, desperately making her way to her own house, hoping against hope that there, her eyes finally made out a chakra network through the wall. She shoved her own door open, running through the hallway, up to her parents' bedroom. Bursting into Finch blinked, and her Byakugan fell away in her confusion. Niji, her older cousin, turned towards her, away from the dead bodies of her parents. There were no visible pupils, nor irises in his eyes. They were orbs of pure, lavender-tinged white. Tell me, Hinata, he spoke. Do you believe you can defy fate? Hey, big brother. Itachi smiled as he closed the door to his home behind him. Hello, little brother. What are you doing up this late? I wanted to wait up for you. Sasuke pouted. He walked forward and narrowed his eyes. Hey, what's up with your eyes? Are you crying? Itachi chuckled, wiping off the blood dripping from one of his eyes. Internally, he cursed the consequences of the Mangekyo's power. It's nothing, little brother. I'm here, and everything's alright. Present-day Sasuke Uchiha sat at his desk in his thinking pose. It wasn't the same as Shikamaru's thinking pose, but it bore a marked similarity Sasuke would deny to any who brought it up. Currently, he was using it as an excuse to stare straight ahead and ignore the disaster going on at his left. I honestly can't believe you managed to pass the exam, Sakura yelled. Same to you. How you made a transformation jutsu that hid that forehead of yours is beyond me. Ino yelled back. Shut up. It's not that bad. Besides, it's not like you don't dash it is suo that bad. I bet any man would agree that it's ridiculously ugly. Isn't that right, Sasuke? Don't be ridiculous yourself. Sasuke would never tell me I looked ugly. Right, Sasuke? Sasuke. Sasuke. Sasuke tried not to sigh. When he brooded, they swooned, and when he smiled, they swooned. He wondered if maybe he was cold and uncaring all the time. They would get the hint and leave him alone. Or maybe that would just make it worse. He'd probably have to figure it out soon, given that his primary fangirl defense had gone and gotten himself held back a year. His ears pricked. In the distance, he heard some oddly familiar guitar chords. Then there was an intake of breath from outside the classroom door. Some dash the door slammed open. Body once told me the world was gonna roll me. I dash, Naruto, what the fuck are you doing? Sasuke called out over the painfully off-key singing. She was looking, oh hey Sasuke. Naruto Uzumaki, leaf headband firmly fixed on his forehead, waved to his friend before jumping towards a wall. He hit it, pushed back off, and landed in a slide on his stomach on Sasuke's desk, ending up perfectly in front of him with a shit-eating grin on his face. Did you miss me? Sasuke let his head hit the desk. Naruto, I know the ninja academies are big on alternative methods of passing, but I don't think stealing some poor souls for a protector qualifies you for Genin. Oh no, I'm officially a Genin now. Iruka-sensei says so. Naruto stretched on the desk. Yeah, I stole a forbidden scroll, learned an A-rank jutsu, made a dramatic revelation about my past, and then beat the crap out of Mizuki-sensei. They basically had to promote me after that. Sasuke looked up at him. Really? Yeah, that's what you're going with. It's the truth. You're not fooling anyone, Naruto. Ino huffed. Naruto arched his back to look upside down at the two girls there. Oh, hey Ino. He wiggled his eyebrows. Say KURA tilde, get the hell of Sasuke's desk. The pink-haired girl rolled her eyes. Naruto rolled his body in response, falling in Sasuke's footwell with a grunt. So does this mean you'll be able to maintain your role as my girl repellent? Sasuke asked, looking down at him. He hadn't lost any of his previous effectiveness. Sakura and Ino had already wrinkled their noses and sat down at their desk. Naruto rolled his eyes. Sasuke, you're a Genin now. You can't ignore all the ladies forever. Watch me. Commune. Naruto clambered to his feet, sitting down next to Sasuke. If you had to go out with one girl from this class, who would it be? Sasuke actually thought about it. Hinata. Naruto's eyes widened. Ooh, that's out of left field. Why? Sasuke shrugged. She's the only one who doesn't pester me all the time. Huh, that's a good point. Well, one way to check it for the workout. Don't dash. Naruto stood up on his chair and called across the room. Hey Hinata. Sat in the back corner of the room was a girl with short, navy blue hair and a thick fur-lined white jacket. Her eyes, white irises with no visible pupils, were staring down at the desk with a blank expression. Said eyes looked up upon being called and widened when they saw the caller. Naruto. Yeah. Naruto returned, waving and then grabbing Sasuke by the hair, the latter having slumped back down in embarrassment. Hey, how would you feel about dating Sasuke? Hinata didn't reply, she just shook her head. Crap. Don't worry Sasuke, it's not you, it's her. Look, I'll prove it. Hey Hinata, wanna go out with me? She froze and a blush appeared on her cheeks. Wow, Sasuke stated, nonplussed. You're so unappealing, you made Hinata stutter. I've never heard her do that. Really? She does it all the time around me. Weird. The door opened again, and Yamino Iruka stepped in. Alright class, settle down. He called, body flickering to the front. Now everyone here has passed their Genin exams, so congratulations. And Naruto, special thanks for how you caught Mizuki. I'm not sure if you officially get a bounty for that, but I'll bring it up with the Hokage. Sasuke looked across at Naruto. Wait, you were telling the truth. Naruto just grinned. Now, as you know, you are to be sorted into 3-man teams. Iruka continued. Thanks to Naruto's last-minute success, the class can be evenly distributed into 3s, so that's good. Naruto frowned. That's a good point. He called out. What would have happened if I hadn't showed up? Iruka shrugged. Root probably would have inserted a spy into the class, I guess. Anyway, the teams are as follows. Sasuke waited, listening with glee as Ino, Shikamaru, Choji. Ino's face fell, and Sakura, Shino, Kiba. Sakura's followed moments later. No Sasuke kept from me, Sakura mumbled, head on her desk. Oh, it's okay Sakura. Naruto called down to her. I'm sure you'll have fun with Bug Boy and Dog Breath. What did you say? Came Kiba's outraged cry. And finally, Iruka rechecked his sheet. Sasuke, Hinata, and Naruto. Sasuke noticed Hinata's surprised look and allowed himself to smile. This was manageable. Hinata was quiet, and he could respect that. And Naruto, he'd used to hate him. It was only natural. He supposed everyone and their mothers hated Naruto. In fact, most of the time, everyone's mothers told them to hate Naruto. Until one day, Itachi had taken Sasuke aside and asked him specifically why he hated Naruto, and he'd been embarrassingly unable to come up with an answer. Itachi had explained that most of Konoha's adults hated the Fox Brat, oddly specific title, for a reason they weren't allowed to share. Because it was top secret classified ninja information, this wasn't something unusual for his Jonin big brother to say. However, Itachi had cautioned, it wasn't a very good reason to hate someone, so Sasuke should probably decide what to think of Naruto based on his own merit. So Sasuke had, and to his burgeoning horror he had actually kind of liked the idiot. He jolted back to attention as Iruka was saying, and Team 7 is to report to Hatake Kakashi. Get to it, kids. There was a blur of motion from the classroom as a few dozen ninja children made their assorted escapes. Woo, on a team together. How's that for luck? Huh, Sasuke. And you're with your one true love. Naruto was smiling again. He did that a lot. You're gonna have to stop with that soon, or this team is gonna get really weird. Sasuke shook his head. But speaking of, where's our third member? They looked to the corner of the classroom, but Hinata had already vanished. A Konoha rooftop, far later than anticipated. Where the hell is this guy? A head of yellow hair called to the skies. We were supposed to meet our new leader hours ago. Kakashi took that moment to arrive. He appeared in a flurry of leaves right in front of them with a yo. This at least managed to freak out the blonde one. The Uchiha was probably used to it, and the HYUUGA had seen him a while ago with those eyes. Or at least she had seen the shadow clone he'd left to look after them while he sat at home reading Jiraiya's works. So, you're my Genin team, huh? He looked over the three children he knew had perhaps the most potential in the village. You don't look like much. Hey, Blonde shouted, don't doubt me. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and Kakashi put his finger over the boy's mouth with a shhh. Don't spoil the introductions. I had a plan going into this, and I'm not coming up with a new one. He leaned back. So then, introductions. Let's give our name, our likes, dislikes, and hopes for the future, okay? There was nodding. Perfect. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I like masks, and everything else I could tell you is classified. Blondie, you go next. The kid blinked before shaking his head. Right. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, pranks, awesome ninja moves, and ramen. I don't like people who take any steps to limit my ramen intake, and Sasuke, because he's my eternal rival, and it's pretty much necessary for the job to hate him. My dream is to one day become the Hokage. You better believe it. Kakashi swallowed his desire to cringe. Well, that was something. Mrs. Bright Eyes, you next. My name is HYUUGA Hinata. The girl spoke, enunciating her words with extreme purpose. I hate a lot of things a little, and one person very much. I like one thing. Her eyes drifted to Blondie, and Kakashi had to swallow his desire to cringe again. Hinata's eyes narrowed. My dream is to have my revenge on one specific person, and I will make that dream a reality. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Well, that was something else. Kakashi continued, unmoved. Haircut, you next. My name is Uchiha Sasuke, said Haircut. I like, well, I'm sure there's something. My big brother, I suppose. I dislike annoying people who forcibly insert themselves in my life, which is especially true for my, he made quotation marks, eternal rival. My aspiration is to one day become a proud member of my clan. What he means is he wants his dad to notice him. He gets super upset about it, Gak. Naruto shouted before being rugby tackled by the other boy. Alright then. Kakashi stalled, looking at the two wrestling boys, and the girl sat watching them. I'm sure I'll remember your names at some point, but until then you'll go by issues 1, issues 2, and issues 3. This is probably a good time to mention you technically haven't passed yet. What? That got the boys to stop fighting. Kakashi nodded and smiled, creasing his mask. Yep, I have high standards, so we're going to have a little get together tomorrow and do an extra test. Otherwise, he let just a hint of killing intent out. All three of you are going back to the academy. That got a flinch out of all of them. Right then, Kakashi went back to smiling. Meet you at training ground 27 at 8 tomorrow morning. Don't be late. Oh, and don't eat anything for breakfast. With that, he body flickered away. He stayed nearby long enough to hear, well, that guy was weird, before chuckling and leaving for his house. 2 bells 1 sensei the next day. Okay, this is ridiculous. Naruto growled to himself, pacing outside the entrance to training ground 27. It's 10:30. He should have been here ages ago. 2 hours 30 minutes ago. Yeah. Sasuke grumbled, laying on the floor. And he warned us not to eat breakfast. This is planned. You know a bunch of ninja. Do any of them remember doing this extra test? Naruto asked his friend. Sasuke frowned. Not that I've asked. But now that I think about it, Itachi has been smiling suspiciously ever since I mentioned Kakashi was my sensei. Hinata tuned the Uchiha's voice out. She was technically sat facing away from the two, but convenient 360 Byakugan vision meant she could still watch Naruto's face as he was complaining. So what's this then? Teaching us to not listen to him, teaching us how to be unprepared. Actually, Sasuke pondered, he might just be fucking with us. That son of a dash, I brought bentos, Hinata said, softly, cutting off Naruto's complaining. You what? Lunch? Hinata simplified. I didn't eat breakfast either, but I brought lunch in case we were busy all day. If it's an emergency, we can have it now. She had admittedly only brought 2 bento boxes, one for her and Naruto, but the Uchiha was probably lying about not eating. Hinata was willing to bet his older brother had told him all about this spell test, and he was playing dumb to fit in. It must be nice to have an older brother. Naruto was about to accept her offer, but there was a whirl of leaves and Kakashi finally showed up. "I wouldn't use your alternative method of passing just yet if I were you," he called to them, sounding bored. "You," Naruto yelled, getting to his feet. "Why are you so late?" "It's been, 2.5 hours. Hinata supplied. 2.5 hours. Naruto finished. "Thanks, Hinata. Sensei, what were you doing?" Kakashi shrugged. "Good question actually. You see, I was on my way here when an army of squirrels arrived, and can we skip this and get to the exam part?" Sasuke called. He still hadn't gotten up. "Sure." Kakashi replied, strolling through the entrance to the training ground. "Follow me." The training ground was very similar to plenty of other training grounds, with dummies lined up in a row, a copse of trees, and a river running through it. Kakashi stopped somewhere in between all these landmarks and pulled something out of his pocket. They jingled. "Bells?" Naruto asked, confused. Kakashi nodded. "2 of them. You have until midday to get them from me. Use whatever methods you feel you need to. Begin." He clipped the bells to his belt and pulled out a book. Team 7 stood there for a moment, confused. "So do we just?" Naruto glanced at Sasuke, who shrugged. "Well, alright then." Naruto made a hand seal. "Let's do this thing." Multi-shadow clone jutsu. Suddenly, there were a whole lot more Naruto. Kakashi glanced upwards from his book to see about 50 orange-clad headaches running towards him. He considered a handful of methods of neutralizing the attack, but eventually went with the simplest. He went back down to his book as his spare hand drew a kunai. As the Narutos moved towards him, he began a rhythmic thrusting motion with the knife. The first 10 or so popped because he just had a longer reach. The next 20 also came in with flying punches and kicks, without realizing that he could just stab their hands and feet to dispel them. The last dozen surrounded him and jumped at him all at once from different directions. He stabbed a bit faster and took one step to the left. The shouting and poofs stopped, so he holstered the kunai and looked up. "Did I not make myself clear? You're free to attack me now." Naruto was in shock. "He's a bit stronger than Mizuki," he acknowledged. Sasuke let out a breath. "Hinata," he addressed the girl. "I know you're good at taijutsu. I might be able to help if I can dash." "I don't need your help, Uchiha," she spat. Sasuke blinked, surprised, as she sprinted forwards, beelining for Kakashi. Then he scowled. "Alright then, you can be the distraction instead." Sasuke turned to Naruto. "I've changed my mind. I'd rather date Ino than her." He started running too, leaving a flustered Naruto behind. Hinata came up on Kakashi fast, showing impressive speed for someone her size. She landed in front of Kakashi in a perfect gentle fist stance, launching her hand forward to Kakashi's head, 2 fingers brimming with chakra. Kakashi caught her by the wrist without looking up. Then Hinata pulsed chakra out the Tenketsu on her wrist right into Kakashi's palm. It should have completely numbed that hand, but instead Kakashi exploded into smoke. Hinata coughed and stepped backwards, and Sasuke halted a few meters behind her. "Shadow clone." Sasuke growled. "I'm starting to hate that technique. You can't tell the difference." "No." She glared at him, like she was angry he dared question her abilities, and began walking in a random direction. "Or was it random? Can you see him?" Sasuke asked. "Yes." "What are you doing now then?" "I'm going to get the bells." She accelerated to a run. "Hinata, wait." She stopped. Sasuke turned to Naruto, who had jogged up. "Oh, so she'll listen to him. We can't just keep running at him one after the other," he explained. "We're just Genin and he's a Jonin. He'll just keep stopping us." "You're saying I'm not strong enough?" Hinata's voice was testy. "I mean, yeah, pretty much." Hinata looked like she'd just been slapped in the face with a wet fish. "He's a Jonin," Naruto repeated. "He could probably have taken us all out without us noticing, even if we were prepared for it. So, we've got to get better. Better means we need a good Jonin sensei. Which means we need to get the bells. Which means we need to work together. Duh." Hinata paused. Sasuke looked on in awe. The talk no jutsu, I'd only heard rumors. Eventually Hinata blushed and nodded. "Alright, what's the plan?" Kakashi was having a lovely morning. Jiraiya's new volume was superb, tying up multiple plot threads from his previous works. The bit he was at, 5 of the main characters were trapped in the same room, and things seemed to be building to a, he sniggered internally, climax. Unfortunately, it didn't seem like he was going to get a chance to start the next chapter as the kiddies were making another attempt. He sighed and made a note of the page. A glint was all that could be discerned before a trio of kunai came hurtling out of the forest edge towards him. Sasuke's work, probably. Kakashi seemed to recall his elder brother being fond of throwing techniques. The spray was wide, the center kunai going straight for him, but the other 2 going to pass by on either side. An inexperienced ninja might think that was just to stop him dodging, but Kakashi was not an inexperienced ninja. He plucked the first kunai out of the air and swung it, severing the razor wire tied between the outer 2 knives, and leaving them to fly harmlessly to either side. By that point, Sasuke had leapt from the forest, and completed a very familiar set of hand seals, making Kakashi's eye widen in surprise. "He can do that already. Great fireball jutsu," the boy called, before launching an impressive burst of flame at the copy ninja. He could have dodged, It was a slow technique, if not for the two kunai that had passed him dispelling their transformation jutsu as both appeared as Naruto. Both orange-clad ninja had their hands in position to call out Shadow Clone Jutsu and summon a good dozen more miniature menaces. The original two Naruto continued to fly away, but the new copies hadn't inherited the momentum and formed a semicircle around the back of Kakashi, readying to throw their own kunai, and that great fireball was getting worryingly close. Kakashi sighed, dropped the kunai in his hand, and started forming hand seals. At which point that kunai, the first that had been thrown, transformed back into Hinata, who, as she was falling, snatched the bells from a preoccupied Kakashi's belt and flung them away. Kakashi finished his jutsu, producing a dome of wind that should counteract the fire and any more thrown knives, and then the original two Naruto finished the hand seals for their substitution jutsu, and both the bells and Hinata appeared on the other side of the clearing. The original two Naruto now sat inside the wind dome with Kakashi, grinned sheepishly. He popped both clones, annoyed, as Hinata grabbed the bells and took off towards the edge of the forest with them. The whole affair had taken no more than 5 seconds. Hinata's heart fluttered as the real Naruto walked out of the forest. He'd been frustrated that after a few iterations of the plan, he hadn't actually been there in person, but he was grinning from ear to ear now. She loved to see him smile. "We did it," she cried, separating the two bells and tossing one to him. Sasuke walked up trying to control his happy expression, but failing. "Hell yeah! Go Team 7. Naruto was cheering, elated, turning back to Kakashi and shouting, "How's that for your bell test, you big lazy ninja?" Sasuke supplied, "Yeah, big lazy ninja." Kakashi walked up, clapping. "Well done. Excellent example of how basic jutsu can be used to great effect if used intelligently. I guess that means Naruto and Hinata pass." There was a pause while the trio contemplated that. Don and Sasuke. Naruto ventured. Kakashi smiled. "Oh no, you see there are 2 bells, which means only 2 of you get to pass." "What?" Naruto exclaimed. "That's not fair. The numbers seem to add up to me." Kakashi replied, shrugging. "But if you want to trade those around, change who gets to pass. Go ahead. Or you could fight for them. That's always fun." Hinata was on edge. On one hand, this was ideal. Just her and Naruto, without the Uchiha getting in the way. On the other, said Uchiha was also on edge and eyeing both her and Naruto very carefully. "Don't try it," she thought. "Don't you dare." Then there was a jingle. Hinata watched, mouth agape, as Naruto flung his bell across to Sasuke, who caught it on reflex with a look just as surprised as Hinata's. "Naruto," she whispered. "What are you? Don't worry about me," he said in a too cheerful voice. "You two are the best in the class, big fancy clans and all. It's probably best if you both go forwards without me." Hinata knew the smile Naruto was sprouting as one of his hands moved to scratch the back of his neck in embarrassment. She had seen it all too often from him. It meant he wasn't actually happy, but was pretending to stop the people around him from being sad for his sake. Hinata hated that look. Hated it, hated it, hated it. "No," she interrupted, rushing up and pressing her bell into his hands, then jumping away before he could try to give it back. "You want to be Hokage, remember?" she told him. "I won't let you squander that dream." Then she flicked her hand up in front of her face on reflex as her Byakugan spotted a projectile coming towards her. The bell in her hand jingled. "What? Go ahead," said Sasuke, his hands empty. "I have Itachi and the rest of my clan to train me if I need to. You two are orphans. You need this opportunity more than I do." Hinata practically snarled and started walking back to him with the bell outstretched. "Don't pity me, Uchiha. I don't need this to dash well then." Kakashi's voice cut across the burgeoning argument between the three. "This is very funny to watch, but I'm going to cut it short. Seems to me like you can't decide, which leaves me with one option. All 3 of you they tensed. Pass. All, look at their excited little faces. I'm getting cavities." Kakashi watched the 3 of them start celebrating again. "Rest assured," he cut in, "if you had decided selfishly who got the bells, I wouldn't have passed any of you. Always remember, those who fail to complete their missions are trash, but those who abandon their teammates are worse than trash. So the whole point of there being 2 bells was just to set us against each other." Sasuke confirmed. "That's right. Fuck you. Language." Kakashi cautioned, shaking a finger. "And remember not to get too cocky that you beat a Jonin. If I'd jumped those 3 kunai, it wouldn't have worked. If I'd used any element that wasn't transparent for my defense, it wouldn't have worked. If I'd been a shadow clone, which you already knew I could do, it wouldn't have worked. But it did." Naruto hedged. "Kiddo, haircut does not keep his kunai as perfectly clean as your transformed versions were. I knew what you were doing. It worked because I let it work." All. Kakashi turned. "Actual missions and training begin tomorrow. Ciao." He vanished in a swirl of petals. "Welp." Naruto clapped his hands together. "That was a thing, and now I'm hungry." "Hey Hinata, didn't you say you had, She inclined her head, blushing a little. "Yes Naruto, we can eat the bentos." She even shared some with Sasuke. Later that evening, You passed the bell test. Itachi asked incredulously. I've never doubted you. But you know Kakashi's never actually passed anyone, right? As expected of a son, said Fugaku, the Uchiha clan head. Could you pass the potatoes please? This wasn't a celebratory dinner. Sasuke had already had one of those for making Genin, and it wouldn't do for him to get a big head, but it was still one of his favorite meals. So you do know about my crazy sensei. Sasuke pointed a fork at his big brother. When were you planning on telling me he'd try to make me betray my teammates? Never, said Itachi between mouthfuls, refusing to be guilted. You'd have made it, or failed, on your own merit. The Uchiha way, or something. Speaking of teammates, who have you been put with? Asked their father. They will be your partners until you make Chunin, and many teams remain close long after that. It's important that you're paired with suitable individuals. Of course. I believe we will work well together, Sasuke replied, waiting for his father to take a drink. One is HYUUGA Hinata. Fugaku spat his drink across the table and broke into a coughing fit. Are you alright, father? Sasuke asked innocently. Yes, I only the last HYUUGA. Fugaku managed, taking another drink to clear his cough. Yes, and Uzumaki Naruto. Fugaku sprayed even more water over the table, prompting his wife to move over and begin patting his back. Sounds like a good combination, said Itachi impassively, helping himself to some peas. Out of all the dash their father got over his coughing fit. Sasuke, I will go and speak with the Hokage. I'm sure I can arrange your movement to a different team. That won't be necessary, father. Sasuke replied, trying to sound forceful. Me and Naruto, he failed to accurately describe their relationship. Get along. Hinata is a bit contentious, but has proven we can work together. But this was the most flustered Sasuke had seen his father in a long time. The Uzumaki brat, why was he even allowed to graduate? You're going to have to explain why everyone hates him, or Sasuke's going to stay best friends with him on principle. Itachi chipped in, but the HYUUGA girl. Fugaku changed tack. Her cousin murdered her entire clan, cousin from her father's twin, they're practically siblings. Even if she doesn't snap, when she grows up she's going to restore the HYUUGA's influence, and wrest it from her own clan. A HYUUGA countered it. Itachi murmured into his glass. Fugaku managed to avoid another coughing fit. Anyway, her interests are diametrically opposed to yours. Watch out for her. Actually, that might not be the case. Sasuke's mother spoke up. It might be possible to bring her around to our side. How do you mean? Asked Sasuke. But Itachi had already caught on. Mother has a point, Sasuke, he said, smiling. She's a very pretty young girl, and you've reportedly seduced a lot of the girls in your class already. Sasuke went red. Itachi, stop. I already changed my mind about her. Changed your mind? His mother chipped in. How did you feel before? Sasuke buried his face in his hands. I was joking with Naruto. I hate you both. Father, save me. Fugaku, even more horrifyingly, was actually thinking about it. It would neutralize the threat quite elegantly, he mused. And I've always been curious what would happen if the two bloodline limits were combined. Your children dash enough, Sasuke shouted. I am going to great fireball all of you. No jutsu at the dinner table, Sasuke. Wake up call. Evening of the bell test. Hiruzen watched the ambu guard stationed in his office fall from the ceiling and land on the floor in a heap. He sighed. Danzo, you gotta stop doing this. He'll live, said the ex- and current, if some of the Hokage's sources were to be believed, right parenthesis leader of Root, stepping into the office. I needed to talk to you. Of course you do, Saratobi sighed. Any particular subject? Or would you simply like to catch up? Actually, I thought I might discuss the Genin teams that have been formed most recently, said Danzo, taking a chair in front of the desk. More specifically, Team 7. What of it? Asked the third, inwardly groaning. How were its members selected? Danzo asked innocently. Hiruzen shrugged. It's traditional for the best boy, best girl, and worst overall in the year to be put on a team together. Both Hinata and Sasuke are very skilled, and as Naruto technically failed the examination, I see. Danzo replied. If you put, I don't know, Haruno Sakura under Kakashi, I might have believed that. But no, you put the young male heir to the Uchiha, the one remaining HYUUGA, and the damn Nine-Tails Jinchuriki on the same team under your best and most loyal Jonin. Hiruzen nodded. Actually, in hindsight, I suppose that would be, he quoted a term from his grandson, pretty darn overpowered. Hiruzen, would you care to tell me if there's any reason in particular you're trying to recreate the legendary Sannin? I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about. Saratobi dash, don't Saratobi me. The third snapped, eyes hard. You lost that right when you tried to put one of your spies in my school. Sai, was it? If he even has a real name. How young are you grooming your soldiers now? I could ask you the same. Danzo returned. We both know something's coming. You could use my help. The last time I requested your help, I ruined 2 lives and lost 200 more. Hiruzen replied. I have learned not to make that mistake again. Danzo glared at him for a good few more seconds. then I shall act alone, as I always have. He turned and walked out the door. Sarutobi waited a few seconds, then slammed a fist into his desk, sufficient to splinter the wood. He heaved himself out of his seat and walked over to the unconscious Anbu, kneeling down beside the androgynous ninja beneath a boar mask. He slapped them round the face. What hit me?" they mumbled before jolting to alertness. "Hokage-sama," they shouted, getting up. "What dash make sure the rest of my guard is awake?" He growled. "Then get me Kakashi. It's time for a wake-up call." 3 years before Big Brother. Big Brother. Itachi groaned and cracked open one eye, barely controlling the urge to awaken his Sharingan and Tsukuyomi, the fool who woke him. He shifted under the covers and propped his head on one arm. "Sasuke, what are you doing? It's 6 o'clock. You promised you'd show me how to do the multi-kunai throwing," pouted the 9-year-old. Itachi scowled. "I know you act more mature than this at school, brother. You said that any morning you weren't on a mission you'd help me with training," Sasuke stated, as though Itachi was trying to deny an immutable law of the universe. "I just got back from a mission," the elder protested weakly. "Then you are back," the younger pointed out, logically. "So, come on." Itachi groaned again and pulled himself out of bed. Never mind that said mission had necessitated 38 hours of continued consciousness, and he'd only flopped into bed an hour ago. He had promised Sasuke training, so there was training to be done. Present-day Sasuke groaned and opened one eye, trying desperately to awaken his damn Sharingan already, so he could Genjutsu the fool who woke him. "Itachi," he mumbled. "I appreciate the dedication. I do. But I have a Jonin sensei now. You don't have to keep dash." He placed the identity of the person by his beside and trailed off. "Yo," said Kakashi. Sasuke let out a scream that was entirely undignified for the heir to the great Uchiha clan, and leapt to his feet, pulling the kunai from under his pillow and pointing it at the transgressor. You, what are you doing here? You're late," Kakashi said, smiling under his mask. "I'm late," Sasuke hissed, looking to his door hoping he hadn't woken anyone. "What the fuck were you yesterday?" Again with the potty mouth. Kakashi scolded. "Did you get that from Dash Itachi?" "Yeah," Sasuke growled. "What the hell are you doing in my room? We have training, which you were late to." "How rude of you. You didn't tell me when it was. Or where, for that matter. You can't become a Jonin by making excuses, haircut. But as I am a gracious sensei, I decided to come get you." Sasuke was incredulous. "So you broke into my house? Hardly a drastic measure for a ninja. Besides, nobody caught me. Can you two be more quiet in there?" Itachi's voice came through the wall. "Some of us are trying to sleep." "All right, one person caught me." Kakashi relented grudgingly. "But since I'm still alive, I think that's enough proof that he agrees with my intentions. Now get dressed. You'll have to work extra hard to make up for your laziness." Shaking his head, Sasuke left the comfort of his bed and walked towards his closet. "Yesterday you couldn't be present for 10. How come now you're starting training at 6? "It was supposed to be 5, actually," Kakashi replied. "And it's not me doing your training." "What?" "Shut up and get out of the closet, Sasuke." Elsewhere, at the same time, Naruto blinked and opened his eyes. "Oh, hey," he mumbled. Kakashi, leaning over him, tilted his head. "That's your reaction. You're not at all worried that a ninja is in your apartment, standing over you while you sleep." Naruto shrugged. "I have Anbu in or near my room basically every night." At first that was confusing, but when I learned I was a Jinchuriki, it kinda started to make sense. I'm used to it by this point. "Well, that's a habit," to kick Kakashi side. "Get out of bed, Whiskers. We have training to do." "I already have a shadow clone at Sasuke's place." Naruto frowned, sitting up and rubbing his eyes. "Not Hinata's." "Oh, I wouldn't be worried. She's outside your window right now. Training ground 14, you have 20 minutes. Kakashi disappeared in a flurry of leaves. Naruto got to his feet and stretched, sparing a look around his apartment building to check Kakashi hadn't done anything to it. The empty ramen packets were still piled up beside his bin, and the kitchen was still a mess. So the Jonin certainly hadn't been cleaning up. Before walking over to the window, sure enough, when he looked out and down, there was a girl with blue hair in the alleyway looking incredibly guilty. "Hinata, what are you doing down there?" The HYUUGA was poking her index fingers together and focusing intently on the floor. I came to see you. Kakashi woke me up too and you live nearby." So Naruto shrugged. "Oh, cool, thanks." Had Naruto paid more attention in certain classes, he might have known that training ground 14 was actually between the HYUUGA compound and his apartment. But he didn't. "I'll get dressed and come down in a sec, then we can go together, okay?" he called out instead. Her face went red and her Byakugan very definitely turned off, but she nodded. A little confused, Naruto went back inside. 18 minutes later, the four got together in the woods. Training ground 14 was apparently just a massive open space, but Kakashi, looking furtively through the entrance, had prevented them from entering and hid them amongst the leaves just outside the area. "So, I'm sure you're all wondering what you're doing here," Kakashi began. "Yeah, and why it's so early." Sasuke grouched. "Yeah, And why we're all hiding in a bush? Naruto added. Well, that's very simple. Kakashi replied. You see, I was planning on taking it easy, letting you play around with D ranks, maybe teaching you tree walking, wasting our time. Hinata cut in. Precisely. Kakashi agreed, before his expression, at least what could be seen, took on a much more serious edge. I know full well what it's like to lose your childhood to this profession, and didn't want to force that onto you. He brightened again, until a dear Hokage called me in and reminded me we don't really have time for that, as you're all likely to get assassinated or kidnapped at any point. What? He was met by 3 outraged children's expressions. He pointed at Sasuke. You're the youngest member of a prominent blood release clan. He swung the finger around to Hinata. You're the only member of a prominent blood release clan, and have in fact already been kidnapped once, around to Naruto, and I can't tell these two about your little secret, but every adult from Konoha, plus everyone important everywhere else, knows all about it. Naruto gulped. Everyone. There is a file in the Hokage's desk detailing all the attacks on you Anbu has foiled. Kakashi elaborated. It is a thick file. Naruto went a little pale. Sasuke looked like his brother had already told him more than he should have been told about the blonde, and Hinata looked downright murderous. The solution to this is to become strong enough to fend off said hostiles as quickly as possible. Kakashi continued, which I was feeling pretty bad about, until I realized that you've all barely had childhoods anyway, for the same reasons we just went through, conveniently. I had a dash. Sasuke paused. I mean, it wasn't a normal childhood, but dash, when was the last time your dad said he was proud of you? Naruto cut in. Sasuke actually blushed. How would I know? It's not like I keep a running dash. He knows exactly what date it was. How long it's been to the day dash. Shut up. Anyway, Kakashi interrupted before they could jump each other again. He sighed. This is why I made my test so hard. It's like herding cats with you people, which is precisely the problem. I can't manhandle you through stringent ninja training. Sure, in the other hidden villages you'd have your sense of hope and free will broken, then be forced into obedience. But we can't do that in Konoha, because something will fire. He looked over them all. No, I've been ordered to work you hard, but you'd have to put that effort in yourselves. You all gave me your aspirations for the future. How far are you willing to go to achieve those goals? I'd do anything. Hinata spoke up even before Naruto could break into a speech. Nothing can stand in my way. Working ridiculous hours. Kakashi probed. Intense pain. Training methods that could be defined as cruel and unusual punishment. Anything. Hinata insisted. Kakashi turned to the pair of boys. That goes the same for you too. Both nodded, determination in their eyes. Great. Kakashi beamed. Then let's get started. He pushed through the foliage and walked onto the training ground proper. As Team 7 followed him, they noticed that the ground was already occupied by another Genin team, as well as a more senior ninja wearing a questionable outfit. Hey, guy, Kakashi called out. Mind if we talk for a few minutes? As the two Jonin walked away, guys hand around Kakashi's shoulders, their respective teams were left alone with each other. It could have been a standoff, but only the girl actually approached them, with one of the boys, looking like a miniature clone of Guy, doing push-ups in the background. The other, a pale child, simply sat and watched the proceedings. You're one of the new teams, right? Said the girl, stuffing her hands into her pockets. Name's Tenten. What's brought you to our neck of the woods? Damn right, said Naruto, immensely proud. With Team 7, I'm Naruto, this is Sasuke and Hinata. We don't actually know why we're here. Kakashi did go into a long spiel about training beforehand though. Sasuke supplied. Tenten shuddered. You poor souls, get out while you still can. What? Nothing, Tenten replied breezily. She gestured to her companions. The one in the eyesore of a jumpsuit is Rock Lee. He's certainly something. And our third teammate is Sai. Good ninja, great painter, but less than perfect at socializing. Upon hearing his name, the pale boy looked up and gave a vacant smile. Hello, he said. Demon, orphan, haircut. It's nice to meet you. Team 7 collectively blinked. Tenten sighed and turned back to her teammate. Sai, we talked about this. Don't nickname people immediately after meeting them, and don't give them nicknames that are so negative. Sai tilted his head. But you nickname us offensive things all the time. Just this morning you called Lee a masochistic piece of shy dash. Insults? Sai, you're confusing nicknames with insults. She face-palmed and turned back to Team 7. Well, it's good to see we aren't the only dysfunctional Genin trio in Leaf. Sasuke casually dropped. I don't know what you mean, said Hinata, deadpan. You wouldn't. Sasuke sighed, after realizing she was being serious. Yeah, Sasuke. What do you mean dysfunctional? Naruto added, visibly confused. The Uchiha looked up to Tenten. Please help, he mumbled. The girl put her hand on his shoulder reassuringly. I wish I could, fellow sane person. I wish I could, yes. Came a shout from Kakashi's direction. I accept your challenge, Kakashi. There was a blur, and Guy slid to a stop in front of the trio. Your sensei has always been a tenacious one, Genin, he said, eyes closed. But now he has gone too far, and will finally be defeated. What did he do? Asked Tenten, apparently used to such dramatic displays. Hatake Kakashi has set me a challenge, Guy explained. He believes that I will be unable to continue my usual training regime, while also bolstering his own team physically. And his eyes snapped open, will prove him wrong. The sun glinted dramatically off his teeth and eyes. There was a pause. Do you make bets like this with Kakashi very often? Asked Hinata. Your sensei has been my rival for years, young ninja, Guy affirmed. What happens to Kakashi if he loses? Hinata asked curiously. Absolutely nothing, Guy exclaimed. Now come on. I have you every weekday from 5 until 8, and I do not intend to waste any of it. Sasuke blew out a breath. Okay, 3 hours a day. This doesn't sound too much more stringent than what I do usually. Get moving, ninja, Guy called. After we do some stretches, we'll get started on some aerobic work. I of course understand that you are all unused to my training methods, so we will begin with only 3 laps around the hidden village. Show me the fires of your youth. He's joking, right? Sasuke asked, looking at Tenten. She shook her head sadly. I'm so sorry. You're either going to become total beasts or you're going to die. 3 very exhausted genin fell to the floor in front of Kakashi. He's a monster, Naruto gasped. They've done remarkably well, Kakashi, Guy said from behind them, barely sweating. I look forward to training with them tomorrow. That was hell and we were late. You want us to do an extra hour on top of that, every day, Sasuke exclaimed. If all goes to plan, I will be able to up your training to 5 hours after about a week. Guy added, beaming, and jogged back to his team. I'm this close to giving up on vengeance. Hinata mumbled. This close. You asked for it, Kakashi told them. No take-backs. Now please lie still for a moment. I need to draw a seal on you all. A seal? Naruto asked, naturally worried about such things. What seal? A training seal, Kakashi explained, twirling a paintbrush in his hands. Guy and Lee use weights, but that's not very elegant and tends to be pretty uneven in how it builds your muscle groups up. This, on the other hand, adds resistance every time you try to move everywhere, like going through water. It also uses your own chakra to produce this effect, so it helps build up those reserves as well as your muscle. Wait, I've heard of this. Sasuke had recovered enough to be breathing normally. Itachi told me about it. Don't they use it to train Anbu? Because I'm pretty sure it's classed as a kenjutsu because of the possibilities for muscle damage, and dash you'll be fee-in. Kakashi interrupted. It has different levels of resistance. I'll leave you on level 1 rather than 3. Which is what the Anbu generally use, and is like swimming through mud. You're speaking from experience, Hinata perceived. Kakashi nodded. I was dog, and due to experience, I will not force you to use it while training with Guy, because that would be a terrible mistake. He trailed off, looking into the distance before shuddering. Anyway, get your tops off, I'll need to see your bare backs. Pervert. Weirdo. What are you reading in those orange books? Now, save your strength, Kakashi replied. When I'm done, my shadow clone is going to go through all the different jutsu categories with you to get a better idea of your capabilities. Then over lunch, we'll talk through mixed unit tactics and other important theory. Then we'll move on to that tree walking we talked about. Then dash, I've changed my mind. Naruto looked numb. Guy's fine. You're a monster. Tora the deplorable, also the demon brothers. Greaseball 1, this is Fox 1, please report. Naruto? What are you dash codenames? Greaseball. Naruto heard a sigh through the speaker. Greaseball 1 to Fox 1. Where exactly did you get this radio system? That's simple, Greaseball, Naruto replied. I took my frog purse with all our D rank pay to the fancy electronics store, and then I stole the radios from Anbu headquarters. For fuck's sake, Naruto dash. Fox 1 to Bat 1, do we have eyes on the target? This is Bat 1 to Fox 1, at least Hinata was getting into things. The target is approximated 40 meters southwest of your position. Excellent. That's, make a quarter turn left from your current heading. Greaseball 1 supplied. No, left, Naruto, you aren't this stupid dash. 3 figures darted across Konoha's rooftops. Their feet made nary a sound. Their forms were blurs against the weak, early morning light. Their prey never saw them coming. Stealthy as, well, ninja, they converged in a dark alleyway, pinning their target against the wall. He looked back at the 3 and hissed, and so began a cacophony of shouts, bangs, and meows. Many years before, an 8-year-old Niji HYUUGA didn't look up as the door opened. Why would he? The view outside was prettier anyway, and he'd committed years ago to leaving his Byakugan on at all waking hours. He watched the sky while his 360 vision watched the man entering the room. Niji, said the teacher, quietly. Yes, sensei. Niji acknowledged. I've come to discuss your unique situation. The teacher was offbeat as usual by Niji's demeanor. In which you restrict my progress. Niji requested confirmation. Yes, said the teacher, nervously. As a matter of fact, I have a solution. Does it have to do with the Uchiha waiting outside? Niji asked. He wished the man would get to the point. Yes, Niji. Itachi, would you come in here? Niji turned then to get a proper look at the boy who walked in. He knew Itachi. Everyone knew Itachi. In fact, Niji had always wanted to meet him. They seemed to have a lot in common. Both the same age, both wielders of a Dojutsu, both Jaina's sons of a powerful clan. But while Itachi was the heir to the Uchiha's leader, Niji was the son of the leader's younger brother, a branch family member. Suffice to say, one boy was not as well known as the other. Niji stared at him. Hello. Hello. Itachi stared back. Itachi's team has come upon some unexpected changes. The teacher explained. He needs a new teammate. And you need a team. What happened? Niji asked Itachi. We were ambushed. Itachi responded. My team is dead. Chunin exams are in 2 months, and there are no vacancies on other teams for me. Niji looked him up and down. You are 8. As are you. Do you think you will pass? No. Niji knew it wasn't the pass part Itachi was denying. Do you know you will? Yes. The HYUUGA tilted his head. Do you believe in fate, Uchiha Itachi? No. I believe in me. Itachi responded. Niji focused on the teacher, who was standing in an incredibly awkward manner. Do you have a third teammate for us? No. The man said. You would have to function as a 2-man team. Niji looked back at Itachi and smiled. I'm confident we'll manage. Present day, at the Hokage's office. That was a pie-in. Naruto groused, sucking the cuts on his fingers. And they call me a demon. If that cat didn't run away and give Genin missions on a bi-weekly basis, I'd have scratched it back. Harder. Hinata looked up concerned. Did it hurt you, Naruto? He grinned back at her. Nah, I'm a ninja. I'm not going to get taken down by a cat with an attitude problem. Given some Inyazuka I've seen, that might not be quite true, chuckled the Hokage, smiling benignly at the three. I have in fact heard what I'm sure are baseless rumors about where the daimyo's wife purchased Tora. In any case, congratulations on your 10th successful D-rank mission. I trust you aren't finding them too difficult. Sasuke's incredulous D-ranks, difficult, was overlaid atop Naruto's any morning we don't spend with Guy is an easy morning. Hinata nodded her own approval. The third looked up. Kakashi. Their sensei was leaning against the corner of the room. They're ready, Gramps, he agreed. And they've been pestering me about getting a C rank since day 3. You believe it will be good for them? The Hokage asked. I believe they're going to get cabin fever if they don't get out soon. Konoha starts to look pretty small at their age. Hiruzen nodded slowly. Very well. I believe I have just the thing. Naruto's eyes sparkled. We're getting a C rank. The third nodded. There is a bridge builder named Tazuna, who requires an escort to the land of Wave, a small island near to our shores only accessible by boat, though I believe he intends to change that. Your job is to travel with him, protect him from any threats, and guard him while he completes his construction work. With Kakashi to protect you, there shouldn't be anything you can't handle. Not that I doubt your progress, of course. Woo! Naruto jumped up and cheered. Actual ninja mission. Sasuke, are you excited? I guess. He shrugged. Hinata, I am Naruto. Oh god, weeks in the wilderness with Naruto, yes, dash, Kakash, actually never mind. When do we start? The third squinted down at his papers. Let's see, yes, you have 35 minutes. After a few seconds of silence, the 3 genin sprinted out the door, leaving a smiling Hokage in their wake. They met Tazuna at the gates to Konoha. He was about what they had expected. Oh great. Children, the elderly man growled, taking a swig from a flask of alcohol. I request ninja and I get toddlers. Hinata's eyes flashed. How dare he insult Naruto? You stand in the presence of a member of the HYUUGA clan and her teammates. Show some respect, commoner. Tazuna looked down at her, noticing her eyes. A HYUUGA? Huh, I suppose you're not so useless. And I am the heir of the Uchiha, Sasuke said, beside her, not one to be outdone. Same sentiment. Tazuna looked down at him. Really? Aren't you supposed to have red eyes? Sasuke blinked. I haven't unlocked my Sharingan yet. Tazuna rolled his eyes. Suwa, you haven't. Are you doubting my lineage? Tazuna shrugged. What's there to doubt? You son of a dash now, Sasuke. Kakashi put a hand on his shoulder. Please do not swear at, nor murder our client. He looked up to Tazuna, and I assure you, my genin are quite sufficient for your needs, and better than what you deserve for your pay. After all, it's not like we'll be up against ninja. Right, of course we won't, said Tazuna, not looking confident of that at all. The demon brothers waited. The jutsu that hid them in bodies of water was holding, and had for the past 2 hours. Patience was an important tool for a ninja, especially when setting up ambushes or scouting targets. Patience was a virtue, and they had it in spades. It was a virtue the genin walking up the road towards them did not appear to share. They veritably skipped around their sensei and their charge, not paying any attention at all to their surroundings. The aforementioned sensei would be more of a problem, but even he didn't look to have caught on to their presence. No matter how skilled he was in combat, he was still human. A knife to the head would kill a Jonin just as easily as a civilian. The two missing nin decided in sync that the left one should make the first throw, and he palmed a kunai. That was when the group of four was obliterated in a fireball. Both brothers immediately leapt out of their respective puddles and dove sideways, hurling themselves to either side of the road. The hurry to escape the massive ball of death meant they weren't able to set up their spike chain, leaving them separated with nothing but their gauntlets. That was when they got jumped. A boy with black hair landed on the left brother's back and straightened his legs, slamming the man's body into the floor and probably breaking a few ribs. A girl with blue hair landed beneath the right brother in a split and struck out at his knee with a palm. That leg went numb, and the girl straightened as he fell and struck out once towards his temple. He fell unconscious immediately. "Yeah, that's fine," said a boy with blonde hair, approaching from further down the road with his sensei and escortee. "I'll just use my shadow clones as the diversion again." That was impressive, Tazuna allowed as the group stopped to tie up the attackers. "How did you manage to detect them?" "My Byakugan could see their chakra from well over 50 meters away," Hinata replied. "Not to mention they were hidden in 2 puddles when it hasn't rained in weeks." "Really?" said Naruto. "That's awesome, Hinata." She blushed. "Did you see that great fireball jutsu?" Sasuke chipped in casually. "That was the signature technique of the Uchiha clan, right there." Tazuna shrugged. "Don't you live in the land of fire?" "I doubt it's exclusive. You refuse to believe I'm from a great ninja family, don't you?" Tazuna HMM''D, then shook his head. "Alright, that should do it." Kakashi spoke up. He tightened one last rope, then straightened, putting his hands together and muttering, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." An identical copy appeared next to him and, without preamble, picked up the 2 hostages. "Where did that come from?" Tazuna asked, still unused to the concept of ninjutsu. "Is it real? What's it doing?" "It's real enough to go drop these 2 off back and leaf and cash the bounties in," Kakashi replied. Hinata looked at him. "It will last that long. I gave it half my chakra, and it uses that up moving. It'll last about a month if I leave it, but it'll probably dispel soon after getting back." Kakashi explained. "It's well programmed enough to do that." Hinata asked. "It's not programmed, it thinks." Their sensei replied. "It's pretty much a carbon copy of me, but it blows up when you hit it." "That sounds useful, which explains why Naruto uses it," Hinata mulled. "Teach it to me. Maybe when we get to Wave." Kakashi replied. "Now then." He turned on Tazuna, glaring. "Care to explain why we just got attacked by 2 infamous Chunin level missing nin?" The bridge builder paled. What followed was a 10-minute explanation/tirade/pity bait about how some merchant lord was bankrupting his country, and was sufficiently cross about Tazuna's attempts at freedom to send assassins after him. "If I can't get this bridge finished," he concluded, "we're doomed. We've barely got any hope left. I can die, it doesn't matter. But if this bridge isn't built before you're repeating yourself." Kakashi supplied. "Everything will be horrible and my grandkids will be depressed, and my dead family will go unavenged, and puppies will be kicked. Which is why I had to lie about how dangerous it could be. I could barely afford you as it is." Tazuna finished. "Vengeance is important," Sasuke empathized. Hinata nodded solemnly. "Uh-huh," said Kakashi. "Those are very honorable reasons, and I applaud you. But you've dealt with us in good faith and put my genin in danger, so standard procedure says we're going to have to ditch you." "What?" Kakashi turned. His 3 students were looking at him with outraged expressions. I to understand you disagree. We can't give up because of a challenge." Sasuke growled. "This is my first real mission. I won't go home and say it was a failure. I need to grow stronger." Hinata stated. "This is a perfect opportunity to test my skills. Do any of you actually care about the sob story?" Kakashi asked. Naruto tentatively raised his hand. The Jonin sighed. "Really? You're all dead set on this?" "I, for one, am not abandoning the kickable puppies," Naruto admitted. Kakashi sighed again. "I suppose the fact that you finessed those 2 just now suggests they aren't really much stronger than what you'd expect for a mission like this." They cheered. Well, Naruto cheered, and the other 2 had self-satisfied looks on their faces. All right. Hinata, take point. We've still got another 3 days to go before we reach Wave. If you're determined to risk your lives, let's limit how long it takes, shall we?" Niji ate dinner with his family, a 2-man team, asked Hazashi. "So they continue to try and limit your progress?" "He is still 4 whole years ahead of normal graduation, darling," said Hazashi's wife, smiling. "Who's your partner, sweetie?" Niji breathed in. "Itachi Uchiha." Hazashi frowned. "I see. Do you work together well?" "We haven't had much opportunity to test that yet. However, I think we can get along. He seems reasonable." "Reasonable isn't the word I would use to describe setting the 9 tails on the village," Hazashi murmured darkly. "Itachi was 5 when it happened," Niji pointed out. I doubt he had a hand in it. This might actually be a good thing, pointed out his mother. If he's being put together with Itachi, that must mean that the academy is taking him seriously. Hisashi nodded, thinking it through. That's a point. If you graduate to Chunin alongside or before Itachi, you will make waves amongst the ninja community. It will be hard for them to ignore you. Niji nodded. I appreciate the opportunity. Hisashi smiled at his son. Good. If you would like, I could step up your training. Niji shook his head. Sorry, father. I have been called into the main branch compound tonight. That ruined his father's mood. He absently scratched at the caged bird seal on his forehead. Oh, what does my dear brother want with you now? Perhaps to cripple you before you start. Hisashi. His wife swatted him. Niji shook his head. No, father. He blushed slightly. I'm babysitting Hinata this evening. Ah, I see. Itachi ate dinner with his family. A two-man team, asked Fugaku. They couldn't find two genin to put you with. There have been no other team losses since the last graduation. Itachi responded, and Niji is the only one ready to graduate right now. Niji HYUUGA. Fugaku gaped. And you agreed to this? Of course. Itachi replied. I understand that he represents the best to come out of their family this generation. I have no reason to believe we will quarrel. No quarrel, scoffed Fugaku. They are only our biggest rival in the village. Itachi kept silent. His father sighed and palmed his forehead. There is no other. Father, even if I waited until next graduation, Itachi said carefully, I doubt anyone else would be able to keep up with me. Well, I think having a friendly rival would be good for Itachi, said his mother brusquely. I know he has Shisui, but if he's going to be on a team with someone else, then it's important to be on fighting terms with them, or so I understand. Ninja children are ridiculous, I swear. Well, I suppose. Fugaku allowed. You will, of course, not allow him to beat you. Of course not. Itachi smiled. We start our first mission in a week. Is there any jutsu you think it's important teach me before I go? Well, I could dash. Mikoto snapped a finger up. If you're leaving in a week, then remember your other obligations, young man. Big brother's going away? A 3-year-old Sasuke blinked, looking up from his plastic plate. Itachi smiled at his younger brother. Not right now, Sasuke, don't worry. The boy smiled. They were a day out from Wave when Kakashi got killed. The only warning they got was a gasp from Hinata before there was a blur, and Kakashi had been cut in two by a massive meat cleaver of a broadsword. It then turned out that Kakashi was actually a log, and the real Kakashi jumped out launching a kunai at the sword's wielder. Said swordsman took the kunai right in the side of the head before disintegrating into a pool of water. Then the real swordsman, who none of the genin could even discern features of, he was that fast, came and bisected Kakashi again, only this time Kakashi popped and vanished completely. The swordsman, evidently tired of this game, jumped up to land on the branch of a nearby tree. Mouth covered by bandages, he turned to stare imperiously down at them. The demon of the mist, said the real Kakashi, probably appearing beside his students. Momochi Zabuza. Or is it Zabuza Momochi? I can never remember Demon of the Mist. Naruto asked. Like the demon brothers we just beat up. Is this like their dad? No relation, replied Zabuza in a gravelly voice. Though I'll thank you for putting them away. They were giving my moniker a bad rep. He focused on their jonin, and everyone felt the killing intent. Sharingan Kakashi. I've always wanted to meet you. Sharingan, Sasuke asked, confused. Ordinarily, I'd offer to let you surrender the civilian to me, Zabuza continued, ignoring the bridge builder's whimpering. But then you might agree and rob me of the chance to fight you. And I can't have that at all. I will allow your children to run away, if they want. Hey kids, Kakashi said, not looking back. You want to run away like scaredy cats? Nope. No thank you, sensei. They're all fine, thanks. Kakashi told Zabuza. The missing nin chuckled. Have it your way. He put his hands together, hiding in the mist jutsu, and the mist came in. That'll be from the, hidden mist village, huh? Naruto quipped nervously. He looked to his left and Kakashi was gone. He gulped, head turning, but he could barely see his palm in front of his face. Naruto, his arm was grabbed, and he jerked away on principle, before realizing it was Hinata who had took hold of him. Veins bulged out from her eyes. I can see through it, she said. The Uchiha is with Tazuna. We need to move. She yanked and Naruto followed. How can he find us in this? He asked. Kakashi's voice came out from the mist. He's a master of blind assassinations. He can track you by sound alone. That, at least, Naruto had a solution for. He grinned and slapped his hands together. Shadow clone jutsu. The clearing was filled with almost a dozen Naruto. They all then began screaming. WHO can take a sunrise dash. Auto glass repair, auto glass replace dash. If you or your loved ones have been missold PPI dash. That should make things harder for him. Naruto grinned at Hinata, though he immediately grimaced. Okay, I just lost one. Let's make this snappy. Huh, he could almost make out the blush on Hinata's cheeks as she nodded and pulled him forwards again. When they reached Tazuna, Sasuke had just thrown a kunai through the hole in Zabuza's sword, taking him in the face, but he simply dissolved into a puddle. Water clones, Sasuke spat. At least 2 more of them. Hinata's the only one who can fight. We need to get rid of this mist. Can you great fireball it? Naruto asks. Sasuke snorted. And evaporate the rest of the water. Try again. Okay, Naruto growled, performing another shadow clone jutsu to replenish the dwindling supply. Anyone know any wind jutsu? I might know something. Hinata spoke up. Everyone get within a few meters of me. They acquiesced. She let out a breath and focused, getting into a strange-looking stance. Then began to move her feet as chakra was visibly expelled from all over her body. 8 trigrams rotation, she called. A swirling blue dome of chakra surrounded her and her companions, blowing away all the mist in her nearby vicinity. Unfortunately, it also blew away everyone in her immediate vicinity. With startled shouts, her 2 teammates and Tazuna were bodily picked up and flung out the dome. Sasuke had the good sense to substitute with Tazuna mid-flight, so when a water clone swung at the man, it instead found itself overextended against a much smaller target. Sasuke dodged instead. Naruto grabbed Tazuna, who lacked all resistance at this point, and ran back to Hinata, who was preoccupied with her own water clone. I'm sorry, she was repeating as she ducked under a massive sword swing. Naruto released Tazuna and flung a kunai in the clone's general direction. Said clone, not as capable of thought as a shadow variant, brought its sword up to block the knife and wasn't prepared for Hinata reaching up to its face. The chakra burst was powerful enough to blow the construct's head off. I'm sorry. Hinata finished, panting. I had to learn that technique from books. I didn't know it would dash. Hey, it's okay. Naruto reassured her. You got rid of the mist, at least. Most of the fog had been dispelled to the corners of the clearing. Any more water clones? Naruto asked her. She shook her head. No, just the original over with though. They all looked across to the body of water Zabuza had been conjuring his jutsu from. Zabuza stood there, on the water's surface, with Kakashi held in a water prison. This is a little embarrassing, the Jonin sighed. Well, you're alive, Zabuza remarked. I'm impressed. Now if you just wait 2 seconds while I kill your sensei, I'll get right to you. Alright team, Naruto told his teammates. We need to get our sensei free. I think if we try and do the thing we did against Kakashi, it might guys. Tazuna blinked at him. Sasuke and Hinata were already gone. Great fireball jutsu, yelled the former, aiming for Kakashi's water prison. 8 trigrams 32 palms, exclaimed the latter, beelining for Zabuza. The missing nin TCH''D. Unable to stop both attacks with one hand occupied, he was forced to prioritize Hinata, and used his free hand to perform the seals for a simple water bullet jutsu. The projectile caught the jumping girl, sending her flying backwards, but the fireball still collided against Kakashi's prison. Water may do well against fire, but a good portion of the front of the barrier evaporated, letting Kakashi jump free. If the high temperature steam bothered him, he didn't show it. Well done, kiddies, he told them, lightly stepping onto the water's surface. Let me handle this next part. Handle me, will you? Zabuza chuckled darkly. What makes you think that will go better than it just did? Well, said Kakashi. He reached a hand up to his headband and lifted it, revealing a red iris with 3 comma-like dots in it. I guess you could say that I have an eye for such things. Sharingan, Sasuke whispered to himself. What the fuck? What followed was genuinely creepy. Kakashi and Zabuza mirrored each other perfectly, going through a complex series of hand signs with identical rhythm and calling out water dragon jutsu at the exact same time. But Kakashi's dragon rose from the lake first. It smashed through Zabuza's technique and collided with him, snapping the mist ninja up in its jaws and ramming him into a tree on the shore. He sank to his knees. Kakashi was in front of him in an instant, pulling a kunai. Any last words? Asked the copy ninja, lazily. Zabuza coughed. Sure. Tell the dash too slow. Kakashi brought his kunai up. That was when 2 needles hit Zabuza in the neck. He stiffened and collapsed. Was that you? Naruto asked tentatively. Another ninja dropped down from the tree line. The genin took a step back. Thank you for your assistance, ninja of Konoha, it said in an effeminate voice. The clothing it wore was unobtrusive except for its white face mask that obscured all its features. 2 braids of hair fell over its shoulders. I was sent by Hidden Mist to retrieve the body of the traitor Zabuza. I trust you understand. We understand, responded Kakashi evenly. We do. Check to confuse Naruto. Clan secrets, Hinata explained. If a HYUUGA betrayed Leaf, Hunter Nin would be dispatched to make sure the secrets of the Byakugan won't spread to other nations. She scowled. Of course, if a HYUUGA escaped who was too powerful to be captured, we wouldn't bother. The hunter nin had shouldered the ex-Zabuza. I will ensure your village is sent an appropriate sum for your assistance. Farewell, it said before jumping up into the trees. Hinata, who had been staring at the body the whole time, let out a gasp. Sensei, stop them. She was too late. The masked ninja had vanished into the trees. What's wrong? Asked Kakashi. I can see his chakra, Hinata exclaimed. I thought it was just residue, but he's still alive, Sensei. A bird chirped in the distance. This time, it was Kakashi who swore. Wave was not a happy-looking place, and it was not a happy group that entered the village. Tazuna led the four ninja through dirty streets and alleys, past dilapidated houses and downturned faces. All four of the visitors, not to mention their guide, were soaked from the mist and water techniques. The kids were all bruised from being flung around by Hinata's rotation technique, and Kakashi seemed exhausted, barely able to continue walking. Tazuna looked very much like he'd suffered worse hardships before. Eventually they came across a certain house that Tazuna walked up to, and he knocked twice on the door. It opened very slowly, and a face peeked through. Grandpa. The child rushed out and collided with Tazuna, crushing him in a hug. Hey there, Inami. The old man chuckled. Where's your mother? Huh, she's inside, Inami replied, letting go, before noticing Team 7. Grandpa, who are these people? They are here to help us, Inami. Tazuna's face turned grim. Now let's go inside. We and your mother have a lot to talk about. Dinner was a relatively simple affair, despite Tazuna declaring it a feast in their honor for saving his life multiple times. The fare was minuscule, and Naruto barely had enough common decency not to complain about it. Tazuna had said they'd been hit hard by Gatu's blockade, but he hadn't realized it was this hard. So you fought demons? Asked Inari's mother, not very familiar with ninja. Ninja calling themselves demons. Kakashi replied, somehow eating without removing his mask. Less horns, more swords. Well, I think it all sounds very impressive, the woman said. You think you'll be able to do it then? Keep Tazuna safe until the bridge is complete. Believe it. Naruto answered, grinning. Team 7 is the greatest Genin team to come out of Konoha in years. Nothing Gatu can send is gonna stop us. You're wrong, came a mumble. It was Inari. Nobody can beat Gatu. People have tried. They were all killed. Kid. Sasuke started, but Inari burst out, you're all crazy. People go out thinking they're heroes and they all get killed. You're going to die too. Inari chastened his mother, but he'd already jumped down from the table and ran off into the house. The woman sighed. Sorry about him. He lost his father to Gatu's men, and he hasn't taken it well. She looked up to Tazuna. Are you really sure they can do this? I mean no offense, but we couldn't really afford Konoha's best. The little girl and the teacher are both from massively famous ninja clans. Tazuna explained. I'm confident. Kakashi's not from a famous clan. Sasuke interceded. I am. Really? Said Tazuna. Because it seems to me like he has the Sharingan and you don't. Sasuke paused, opened his mouth, closed it, turned to Kakashi. Are you going to correct him on this? Correct him on what? Kakashi replied perfectly innocently. I think it's time you stopped pretending to be famous, Sasuke. The clever builder clearly hasn't fallen for it. Sasuke's jaw hit the floor. He didn't speak for the rest of the meal. Training Montage 1. Important rules of the Shadow Clone technique. Ash Chakra is split evenly between the user and the Shadow Clones, which can use their share freely. Shadow Clones have 4 chakra networks. Can use the Shadow Clone technique. Shadow Clones possess identical mental faculties to their caster. They can operate completely freely, though will generally follow their caster's orders. Shadow Clones possess identical physical capabilities to the caster. Do not fatigue, but cannot open 8 gates. When a Shadow Clone is dispelled, its memories and chakra is shared between the caster and all remaining Shadow Clones. The user's chakra can regenerate naturally, but Shadow Clones will not. Shadow Clones can build up/distribute Sage Chakra. Use Sage Mode. Yes. Summoning and dispelling clones can be abused to give existing clones more chakra. Yes. Warning, it's hard to maintain Sage Mode with multiple Shadow Clones. Personal limit. 3. Shadow Clones can interact physically, but will be dispelled upon receiving a solid hit or fully depleting their chakra. Armor techniques/Sage Mode can increase resistance. Yes, X2. Even with sufficient chakra, Shadow Clones' chakra pathways will eventually decay due to having no real body. This process is accelerated for clones of clones. Longest single clone maintained, 63 days. Longest chain, 137 days. Warning, summoning too many clones at once, such as with the multi-shadow clone technique, can incapacitate or even kill ninja without high enough chakra reserves. Excerpt from Don't Fuck With These Scroll, notes scribbled by Namikaze Minato. The next day, Kakashi took the 3 genin out into the woods. Today, he told them, my shadow clone is guarding Tazuna while he works. Tomorrow either yours will be, or you will be, it's up to you which. Hinata mentions she wants to learn the shadow clone jutsu, and now you're putting stakes on it. Sasuke grumbled. He was still upset about Tazuna ignoring his heritage. I like to think of myself as a motivator. Now then, Kakashi summoned another clone. This new friend is going to take you and Hinata through the theory of the technique. Naruto, as you've already aced it, you're coming with me. He then walked off into the woods. Naruto shrugged, waved half-heartedly to his teammates, and followed. Kakashi stopped when he reached a fast-running river, sitting on a rock and looking back at his third genin. So, now we're alone. Why are you upset? Naruto blinked. Upset? Why would I be upset? Kakashi's visible eye rolled. Kid, you've been alone your whole childhood until maybe Sasuke at the start of the Ninja Academy. You're always upset. Of course you're really good at hiding it. But ever since we started this trip, something's been getting you down. Spill. Naruto shuffled. He was not used to being read that easily. Mulling the problem over in his head, he tried to think of the best way to explain it, before eventually blurting out, am I useless? Kakashi raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? It's just the examples started pouring out. Against the Demon Brothers, I did pretty much nothing. Against Zabuza, I did even less. They always thrash me when we're sparring. I still haven't got the hang of tree walking, Naruto inhaled. It just doesn't really feel like I'm doing much for the team, sensei. Kakashi looked at him for a long moment. What weight level are you on? He asked. Huh, Naruto replied. On your seal. Kakashi explained. Which resistance level are you using? Oh, 3. Naruto said, nonplussed. I couldn't really feel one. I moved up to this about a week ago. Kakashi sighed. Naruto, Sasuke's on level 2. Hinata only just moved up to level 2 before we left. So, said Naruto stubbornly, doesn't mean I can actually do anything. Kakashi thought about how to explain it. Have you ever played any video games? Sometimes. Naruto hedged. You know how in teams everyone has different roles they have to fill to have the best effectiveness. Yeah, Naruto was thinking about it. Well, ninja teams often work in the same way. Take the legendary Sannin. Didn't they break up and now one's a terrorist? Yes, but before that they were amazing. Kakashi waved a hand for emphasis. Here's how they worked in a standard engagement. Tsunade was up front. She was the physical powerhouse. High durability, high physical damage. Jiraiya was up behind her, and he was the ninjutsu guy. Fire and earth were his specialty. He could control the terrain to make things easier for Tsunade, and blow anyone he got a bead onto pieces. Then there was Orochimaru in the back, making use of long-range ninjutsu, genjutsu, or pure trickery, to keep enemies still for the others to take out, and bailing his teammates when things got tough. Naruto sat down and narrowed his eyes. Hinata is Tsunade, Sasuke is Orochimaru, so on Jiraiya. Kakashi beamed under his mask. Good, but not quite. There are parallels between your team and the Sannin, but you aren't identical. Hinata is far less durable than Tsunade, for example. She's more suited as a striker, moving in fast and eliminating targets that are in the enemy backlines, setting up big jutsu. So where does that leave me? Naruto asked. Kakashi noted the hope in his voice. Well, let's think about it. Nothing is set in stone, of course. Your body still needs to fully mature. Right now, though, you're not the most agile of fighters, and your chakra control isn't fine enough for genjutsu. But he raised his voice as Naruto started to look sad again. You're incredibly strong and durable for your age, and your chakra supplies are frankly ridiculous. How ridiculous? Naruto asked hesitantly. One of the things I'm teaching your teammates is that when you form shadow clones, your chakra is split evenly between you and the clones you create, but your body needs a minimum level to keep functioning. Kakashi answered. Naruto, when you fought Mizuki, you reportedly created several hundred shadow clones. I'm not sure how much of that was the Demon Fox, but if I was left with 1/100th of my current chakra, I'd probably collapse. Sasuke or Hinata would die. Oh, Naruto looked down at himself with a little concern. Wait, how come I can't just spam some super op jutsu then? Because, like I said, your chakra control sucks right now. Kakashi deadpanned. Any technique you use costs over double what it really should, and you don't have the subtlety for the more complex techniques, like the water dragon I used on Zabuza. The shadow clone jutsu was a godsend for you. It splits your chakra rather than spends it, but we can work on that. In the future, you might end up as a hybrid to jutsu ninjutsu tank, augmenting your physical attacks with powerful jutsu and a whole lot of shadow clones, a big credible threat to do most of the damage, while Hinata and Sasuke shut down the things about to pull the moves on you. You make it sound like I'd be the backbone of the team. Naruto murmured. That's exactly what you'd be, Naruto, Kakashi replied. He took a moment to savor the awe on the boy's face. Of course, that would mean a lot of responsibility. Naruto nodded, seriously. I'd never want to let down my teammates. In which case, we'd better get you in fighting shape. Kakashi replied, hopping off his rock. Can't have you being useless after all, right? Naruto agreed with a smile, a genuine smile. What do I do, Kakashi-sensei? First, make 5 or so shadow clones. Kakashi instructed. Naruto nodded and made 6. Excellent. Kakashi looked at the clones and pointed at the river. You lot. Practice water walking. What? Asked Naruto, dumbfounded. You get their memories when they pop. Kakashi explained. Congrats. You get to learn water walking 6 times as fast without lifting a finger. Huh? Naruto responded. Now the real you can follow me. We're going to see which element you have an affinity for. That evening, Naruto walked in looking thoroughly exhausted. When asked, he just said that Kakashi had been working him super hard, and as he seemed to be in a much better mood than he had that morning, they didn't push it. The next day, Naruto petitioned Kakashi to let him work alone, and the sensei agreed. Both of his teammates had managed to summon one shadow clone to follow Tazuna to work on the bridge, and Kakashi worked with them to see if they could manage another 2 at once. Splitting your chakra more than into 4, the sensei said, was far too dangerous for any non-Naruto genin. Naruto created 11 just to watch the horror on their faces. Now they understood the jutsu's actual requirements. 1 went to the bridge, 6 went to continue water walking, and 4 went with him to continue working on his jutsu. After watching him try out a few E-rank nature transformation techniques, Kakashi concluded that Naruto's primary affinity was for air, very rare in the land of fire. The jutsu he was currently working on was the most generic attack of the wind element, a gust of air to blow away things in front of him. It was tiring as hell, but yesterday's progress with water walking had actually helped his chakra control a little. The technique was getting easier. He slapped his palms together and prepared to mess up another section of forest. Wind style, great air dash stop. Naruto stopped. Don't fire your ninja magic that direction. There are some herbs I need, and I can't have you tearing them up at the roots. Naruto turned to the left. Stood there, holding a hand out towards him in warning, was a very attractive girl. She had long black hair, a pink kimono, and big brown eyes that were currently narrowed at him very angrily. Naruto said eloquently. The girl seemed to relax slightly. Sorry, but my master's really hurt, and I need these to help him. She walked up and in front of him and started picking some of the pieces of grass that, to Naruto, looked a lot like the rest of the grass. With nothing better to do, Naruto knelt down beside her. Your master? Huh, sounds like you care a lot about him. I do, she replied with certainty. He's my world. That's pretty big, Naruto acknowledged. She looked across at him. You don't have anyone like that. He shrugged. I have loads of people I care about. You know when you look at someone you've been around for a while and you're like, yep, I would definitely fight to keep you safe. The girl giggled. I know the feeling, yes. Well, I've got lots of people like that. My teammates for one, my sensei for another. I don't think I could say one is more important than the others, though. The girl blinked. But what happens if you have to choose one over another? Only one person can be the most important. There's only one king on a shogi board. Naruto tilted his head at her. That's not how it works. Though, it isn't. No. Your master, do you just... How do I put this? Just care about him more than everyone else. What? Like if you cared about enough people a little, it could add up to one of him. No, the girl replied, sounding almost offended. You can't put a number on how much I care about him. Numbers don't describe it properly. Exactly. Naruto snapped his fingers. That's what it's like for me. You can't put a number on the people I'll protect, so you can't compare them to each other. They're all just there, at the top. The girl was looking at him almost in awe. How do you do it? How do you have so much to give? Naruto shrugged. I didn't used to have anyone, but recently I've found out that really, the more you give, the more you have. The mood was somber for a moment before his eyes brightened. Look, I'll show you. What's your name? Haku, the girl replied. Well, Haku, said Naruto, extending a hand. Hi, I'm Naruto. Would you like to be my friend? Yes, Naruto. Haku replied, taking the hand and smiling. I'd like that very much. When Naruto came back, talking about a nice girl he'd made friends with in the woods, Hinata's expression grew very dark very quickly, and she didn't say a word the whole evening. The next day, Hinata asked to be allowed to train on her own in the forest, as she had mastered the shadow clone jutsu as much as her chakra reserves would allow. Kakashi acquiesced, which was what led to her sprinting through the treetops with her Byakugan activated. It took her over an hour of searching to find her objective, at which point she shed momentum and altitude. When she came upon the target, she was walking along the grassy floor. Hi, she called out in a very cheery voice. Haku, right. Her target blinked, looking up at her. Yes. Oh, you must be one of Naruto's friends, right? Hinata nodded, smiling. Yes, he talked about you all yesterday evening. I just had to come meet you. Really? said Haku. Hinata's Byakugan picked out the blush that formed. I didn't know I had such an effect on him. Oh, you had quite the effect all right, Hinata replied. Her voice dropped a few tones. I dare say he hasn't the foggiest who you really are. Haku's head tilted. I'm curious, Hinata asked, shifting her weight slightly and letting her Byakugan roam all over her target. A self-proclaimed apothecary assistant might have need of a pouch filled to the brim with senbon needles, but I'm not sure why one would need such an advanced chakra system. Her eyes narrowed. Or have a face identical to the one a missing nin wore behind their mask 3 days ago. Haku giggled nervously. I'm sure I don't know what dash the senbon were out of her pocket, and flying before Hinata could react. 5 of them punctured her flesh in various nerve clusters across her body. She gasped and exploded into smoke. Haku's eyes widened as the real Hinata jumped out of the nearby forest, a gentle fist aimed straight at her opponent's forehead. The missing nin was barely able to move out of the way, jumping off through the clearing and hurling another handful of senbon. Hinata tracked them with her Byakugan and batted them from the air easily, giving chase. Haku grimaced, hands forming seals in front of her. Air Kata Jutsu. Hinata saw the sharpened wing coming towards her and judged that getting behind a tree wouldn't save her, so she threw herself sideways. She felt the air slice off a lock of her hair. She rolled and got back to her feet, but Haku was fast. The missing nin was already reaching the edge of Hinata's Byakugan range, and she doubted she'd be able to catch up even if she turned off the training seal. Grinding her teeth, she watched her target escape. We have a problem, Hinata remarked, walking back into the clearing with the rest of her team. Haku is the ninja in the mask, Zabuza's compatriot. That means they're definitely still here, and they're definitely coming back to finish their job. Oh, fuck, Sasuke remarked. Oh, and Naruto. Hinata turned to the blonde with a victorious smile. Did you know that the Byakugan can see through clothes? I just thought I'd warn you. Haku is a boy. The trees rustled in the distance. What? We'll burn that bridge when we get to it 10 years ago. While Niji was gazing into the fire, he also saw Itachi sit up in his tent with a strangled gasp. The Uchiha's eyes were wide for a moment before he carefully controlled his expression and got out of his sleeping role. He walked up to Niji and sat down next to him, poking at the fire and casually asking, "How goes the watch?" "Nothing as of yet," Niji replied simply. The pair were escorting a fire noble on a trip up to wine country. The man had been understandably concerned about leaving protection of himself and his retinue to 2 children, but had been placated somewhat by a demonstration of the pair's jutsu. Good, Itachi replied, simply joining Niji and staring into the fire. Niji wondered what he saw there. They had been a team for 2 weeks now, and hadn't said more than a few sentences to each other. Both were perfectly comfortable with it, but there was still an undercurrent of antagonism there Niji wanted rid of. "Did you have a nightmare?" he asked. Itachi gave him a sharp look. "I assure you I will be fully prepared if we are attacked. I don't doubt your ability will be unaffected," Niji appeased. "But that isn't what I asked." There was a long silence. "The war," Itachi eventually said. Niji quickly understood. "You fought in it." "Not officially, but I witnessed the aftermaths of several battles. One time I saw a struggling ninja begging for water, so I went down and helped him." Itachi stared back into the fires. "He attacked me the moment he opened his eyes. It was my first kill. I was 4. I didn't fully understand what I'd done for a week. And that was the nightmare." Itachi nodded. "Can I tell you something? I hate violence. A pacifist ninja." Niji tried to keep the disbelief out of his voice. "So you fight for peace." "Counterproductive, I know." A smile pulled at the corner of Itachi's mouth. "I want to make the world a better place. Being a ninja wasn't my first choice, but I'm just so good at it. So like me, you had little choice." Niji mused. "I always felt I was fated to be a ninja." "You really believe in fate, don't you? What will you do when fate turns against you?" "You can't fight fate." "I thought fighting was the thing us ninja are good at," Itachi pointed out. Niji looked across at him in surprise. "If fate can be changed, what's the point in it at all?" "Exactly," Itachi pointed out. "I can see we're going to have a lot of interesting conversations." Niji stood up and stretched his neck. "I wasn't going to wake you, but there is a contingent of ninja moving up on our location, I noticed." Itachi admitted, getting to his feet as well. "I was about to excuse myself and go after them." "Want to take them out together?" Niji asked. Itachi nodded, smiling. "Yes, I'd like that." Present day, 5 days after reaching Wave. "You finish tomorrow?" Kakashi asked. Tazuna nodded. "The main body of the bridge is practically done. We lift one last piece into place, lash a few things together, and we're sorted." "Well, perfect," Kakashi sighed. "Tazuna, I strongly recommend you and your men take the day off tomorrow." "What? Impossible," the old man exclaimed. "They are going to attack," Kakashi replied evenly. "We're lucky Zabuza took as long to recover as he has. Tomorrow they are going to come to the bridge, and we are going to go to the bridge. and we are going to be killing each other. I would strongly advise that you not get in the middle of that, Tazuna sighed. I'm afraid that's not possible, Master Ninja. These people know the bridge is almost finished. It doesn't matter if I go in tomorrow and die, but it will crush them if I give up this close. Why? Everyone's eyes turned to Inari. He had been avoiding them at dinners so far, taking his plate up to his room and eating alone. Tonight, however, he couldn't seem to bring himself to go. Why put your life on the line like that? Tazuna sighed. Sonny, I have to dash. No you don't. Inari cried out. I don't want you to die, Grandpa. You lost your father, right? Hinata asked. Inari looked across at her. He nodded. Me too, Hinata said. Inari's eyes widened. He didn't get to choose his death. She continued. He didn't get to lay his life on the line for a cause he believed in. He was murdered in his own home. Maybe he died defending his family. My mother, I don't know. Which is good, because if he'd sacrificed his life for nothing, I'd have felt the same way you feel. Inari's eyes were wide. Fortunately, that isn't the case. Your father died defending something he believed in. That is honorable. You are upset that your father died, and I can empathize with that. So are you going to whinge about the concept of heroism, or are you going to do something about it? There was a pause as everyone stared at the normally quiet girl. Well, talk no jutsu aside, Kakashi spoke. I've had an idea. It was a strange procession that walked through Wave the next morning. Tazuna at the head with Kakashi at his left hand. The pair were flanked by Team 7. 2 lots of Team 7 actually. 2 Sasuke on the left, 2 Naruto on the right, and 2 Hinata behind. Shadow clones were really useful for showing off. They had significantly more presence now than when they had arrived, and the people in the surrounding houses took notice, whispering to each other about the bridge builder and his ninja procession. Work began. There was relatively little left to do, and the work was simple. Tazuna had been alone for the last 2 days, and he worked in silence on the simpler tasks as Team 7 arrayed themselves around the bridge. His eyes were shifty, looking around for the attack to come. Fortunately, when it did, it made little effort to be stealthy. A wave of mist rose from the water's surface, swamping the bridge. Naruto. Kakashi addressed the blonde, who nodded. He and his shadow clone clapped their hands together. Wind style. Buffeting wind jutsu. A doubled-up gust caught the clouds of mist and blew them backwards, clearing them to the sides of the bridge. It left 3 figures on the bridge instead of 1. Zabuza held his sword to a stoic Tazuna's throat. Haku, mask in place, stood to the side, looking away. Well, I can't say I didn't expect more, Zabuza said, addressing them across the bridge. But I have a paycheck to earn. He drew the sword right. It passed straight through Tazuna's throat, blood flying from the wound. Then the transformation dispelled. Hinata, almost half Tazuna's height, was unconcerned by the blade passing over her head. She spun in place and pushed a palm towards Zabuza's chest, chakra bursting from the tenketsu there. He jumped backwards, pushing himself out of her immediate striking range. Then Hinata flicked a tag out of her sleeve and made a hand sign. The explosive seal detonated. The shadow clone, for that's what Hinata had been the whole time, popped, and Zabuza was well within range of the explosion. Team 7's vision widened out for a moment, but when it returned they saw something that shouldn't be there. A wall of ice across the bridge. That's not a water jutsu. Naruto stated the obvious. It was Haku. Hinata muttered. That wasn't a wind jutsu either. Naruto added. Bloodline limit. Sasuke growled. The ice wall melted, and Zabuza used the melt to form a trio of water clones. Team 7 put their hands together, declaring null, and deactivating their training seals, freeing up their movements. The battle began in earnest. Haku was significantly more threatening than Sasuke's teammates were. He preferred long range, obviously. Those Senbon were a pain. Sasuke couldn't cut them out of the air like Hinata could, still waiting on the Sharingan body. But if he knew where they were coming from, he could dodge them. The ice, however, was a problem. Fire jutsu wouldn't melt it against all logic. The damn thing must have been a mixture of water and something, because it cut off all his offensive ninjutsu, and Haku was good enough with it. He could throw out ice in Sasuke's way any time of the battle. Crap. He ducked another swipe from a water clone. Mental note, get a weapon bigger than a dagger, and went for its knees. It dodged left, which was good because that put it in the way of a trio of Senbon launched at Sasuke. Unfortunately, water clones didn't have pressure points, and it was fine. Fortunately, Hinata leapt after Haku that moment and kept his attention thereafter. Sasuke finished his clone off. Kakashi was busy with the real Zabuza. He was unable to simply jinjutsu the missing nin, because Zabuza had decided to blindfold himself, the absolute madman. So the pair were dueling across the bridge. Naruto was actually helping. His massive reserves of chakra meant he could blow back the mist anytime Zabuza tried to bring it back in. and his shadow clones let him dogpile water clones, pepper Haku with kunai, and occasionally throw themselves at Zabuza only to be immediately cut down. Zabuza was doing well against Kakashi, yes, but not well enough to summon any fresh water clones or perform other battle-changing water jutsu, like the dragon thing he'd launched the first time they'd met. In the next minute or so, they would empty the field of water clones, gang up on Haku, and leave Zabuza by himself. Itachi had told him not to count his chickens before they hatched, but it looked like they were only 3 moves from checkmate, which was exactly when it all went wrong. Naturally, it started with Naruto's voice. Sasuke, Inkomi Dash, Demonic Ice Mirror's Jutsu. Sasuke's Shuriken, which he had hauled towards Zabuza in a free moment, hit a blank wall of ice. He growled, trying to find a way around the surface and realized he couldn't find one. He was surrounded. Walls of ice appeared, 6 sides and stretching up towards the sky. Oh dear. A reflection of Haku appeared in the mirror. Sasuke looked for the real version, couldn't find it, and caught a senbon in the shoulder for his troubles. He hissed and yanked it out. My apologies, Haku said and continued throwing. Sasuke couldn't dodge. The needles came from everywhere. Haku was actually in the mirrors peppering him. He tried to jump towards one mirror, use his tree walking skills to run out the gap in the top, but Haku appeared in the mirror of his choosing and pushed him right off. Sasuke grimaced. Hinata couldn't do anything against Zabuza and neither could Naruto. If Haku killed him in here then went to join his master, then even if he couldn't use the jutsu twice, and he probably could, victory would be in their grasp. Fortunately, Sasuke's solution arrived. Hey haircut, here's a get out of jail free card. Sasuke grinned and saluted mockingly to Haku. See you on the outside. He felt the pull of Naruto's substitution jutsu and consented, appearing beyond the ice walls. What kind of prison has gaps in the walls? He shouted back at the mirrors, giving the Naruto shadow clone on the inside a thumbs up. The blonde shot it back, grinning. Then he took a senbon in the shoulder. He grimaced and tried to track Haku and took another couple needles. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Just a spell, he told the clone. The clone grimaced. Yeah, about that, what? Naruto scratched the back of his head. I may have forgotten I'm not a clone. Sasuke gaped. Across the bridge, Zabuza laughed. Naruto took another senbon in his side and turned to point a finger at Haku. Or, Sasuke sucked in a breath. Naruto, you absolute fucking idiot. Naruto winced at his teammate's voice and pointed at the nearest image of Haku on the prison's wall. And you, why didn't you tell me? Haku sighed. I'm sorry, Naruto, but what did you expect? For me to tell you I was working with your enemy? Naruto blinked. No, not that. You have a penis. You couldn't have warned me. What? Haku tilted his head. Oh, right. You thought. I mean, I've been told I look girlish before, but I didn't think Dash. You were wearing a pink kimono. Haku. Pink kimono. Haku sighed. Can we just get back to the fighting, please? He threw another handful of needles. Naruto dived out of the way, only to get hit in the side by another 2 from a different mirror. He grimaced. Shadow Claw Dash A needle caught him in the fingers, breaking his concentration. Just don't, please. Haku's face couldn't be seen from behind his mask, but his voice was begging. Let me put you out. Zabuza says he will let me spare you if it doesn't get in the way of the mission. Take that mask off. Naruto snarled. He felt anger building in his stomach. We all know who you are. Don't you dare do this without showing your face. I won't. Haku replied, voice breaking. It makes this easier, but it doesn't make it right. Naruto shot back. If you can't do this without hiding behind a mask, you shouldn't be doing it at all. Haku's breath hitched, and he threw another brace of needles. I'm sorry, he repeated. I can't be like you, Naruto. If I get attached to you, and your friends and your sensei, and everyone else, what do I do if they disagree? What do I do if they want different things from me? Decide. Naruto yelled back. He fell to his knees. The last few needles had cut out, feeling to his legs. Do what you think is right, he continued. Be your own damn person. Haku shook his head. I can't live like that. Good night, Naruto. He pulled out one more senbon. Naruto growled audibly. He could feel rage building inside of himself, as well as what he could swear was someone chuckling. He remembered the forest with Mitsuki. He remembered what had got him out of that situation. Hey Kyuubi, he thought. If you feel like letting out some demonic power, now is the time. He didn't hear a response. Haku flung his senbon and it flew right at Naruto's forehead. Then everything went dark. Outside the mirrors, everything was going horribly. Zabuza had used the distraction caused by Haku's ice mirrors to hit Kakashi with a water bullet, then summoned a new brace of water clones. Those did have a permanent cost, unlike shadow clones. But Zabuza didn't look to be tiring. If anything, his pace had increased, knowing victory was so close. He was monologuing to Kakashi about something. Sasuke didn't know what, he was a little busy. Can't you gentle fist them? He called across to Hinata, who was similarly occupied with another damn water clone. I can't hit the pressure point on a sword, the exasperated girl called back. She had actually pulled a kunai for close quarters combat, something he'd never before seen from her. "We need Naruto out here. Can you make another shadow clone to substitute with him?" Sasuke asked. He was close to empty. One too many fireballs meant that if he split his chakra in half again, he was liable to pass out. Hinata flipped backwards, but her Zabuza didn't let up. "If I had a spare second and a half, sure," she called back. Sasuke rolled his eyes. Ignoring his own clone, he leapt at hers. It saw him coming and lifted up its sword, but he battered it with his kunai once, twice, landing and wrapping his legs about its shoulders. He dropped the kunai, grabbed its head and twisted, wrenching its neck to an odd angle. It collapsed into a puddle. "Do it," he instructed Hinata, landing on the floor and rolling. He was in position to glimpse through the ice mirrors. Looking up, he saw Naruto kneeling on the floor, and he saw a needle sprout from his forehead. "Naruto." His voice echoed Hinata's as the blonde Genin collapsed to the floor in a heap. Sasuke felt the world around him slow, watching Naruto just lay there lifelessly, and after a moment came a weird feeling behind his eyes that was echoed by two red circles appearing in his reflection in the ice. "Oh, Sharingan, took you long enough to show up. Well, this was good." Sasuke turned to the main opponent. Now he was going to kill Zabuza, and then he was going to kill Haku, and then he was going to hope that the blonde moron wasn't actually dead. There was a rumble. Then the ice prison exploded. Sasuke's new Dojutsu let him track every single shard of ice falling through the air, and he had a moment to appreciate the beauty of the sight, before he noticed the two very important parts of the image. 1. Haku was flying backwards away from the ice with half his mask torn off. There was a giant claw mark across his chest. 2. Naruto was stood up. His teeth were bared, his wounds were gone, and his eyes were red. Not Sharingan red, but rust red, the same color as the malevolent chakra that was pouring off of him in waves. "Naruto?" Hinata asked. Naruto looked up to the sky and let out a bestial roar. "Gatu more like Fatu haha boom bitch you done got roasted." There was a banging on Inari's door. He gulped, hesitating, before slowly moving forwards to grab the doorknob. That was when the corner of it splintered and it was forced open. Inari screamed and staggered backwards, crashing into the umbrella stand. Important things to have in a rainy country like Wave, as two men walked in the door. They wielded cleavers, had missing teeth, and generally looked like they didn't have great intentions. "Hey little kitty," one leered. "Say, is your granddaddy home?" "He is." Tazuna walked out from another room. "And you damn kids better get off my property." The two brandished their weapons. "That's so," one said. "Perfect. We'd heard you would be at the bridge." Too scared, Tazuna said nothing. If the two had been paying more attention, or just had better eyesight, they might have noticed that he looked a little flat. "Hey, well, this is a treat. Gatu will give the one who kills you a bonus." "Well, that's a shame," said Tazuna, cracking his knuckles. "Because I'm afraid you two are about to not get the bonus." They blinked at him. He sighed. "Sorry. One-liners are hard." Then he blurred to life. He grabbed the first one's arm and brought his elbow down on it, making the cleaver drop from nerveless fingers. Then he jabbed him in the face and put a knee into his stomach. The second thug was faster, swinging his weapon towards Tazuna, who ducked it and backed up across the hallway. "Nobody told me you could fight," he snarled. "Oh, whatever. Say goodnight, you wrinkly old son of how." Inari swung the umbrella again, buckling the thug's legs at the knee. He spun round and grabbed the umbrella, glaring at the boy, in time for Tazuna to wind up and put a kick right between his legs. He stiffened and collapsed. Tazuna poofed into Naruto, who dusted off his hands. "Well, that was way less difficult than Zabuza. I got the easy job." "So your plan," said the real Tazuna, walking in from the kitchen now the coast was clear, "was to have a copy of a ninja pretending to be me go to the bridge, but also have a copy of a ninja pretending to be me waiting at home in case they came here. Do you always do things this complicated?" Naruto snorted. "With ninja, this plan was basic." "Oh yeah, great job Inari. You're a real hero." Inari shook his head. "Not yet. This means Gatu's also hiring petty thugs. Even if his ninja fail, he might just storm the town. We need to rally the people." "Are you sure?" Tazuna asked. "That's a mighty different attitude to what you had yesterday." Inari nodded. "Miss Hinata set me straight. I don't want us to die for this town, but it'd be worse if we died for nothing. We need to fight." Naruto grinned. "All right then, let's go make a mob and fight a mob boss." Fear was not a strange thing for Haku to experience. Every day, he was afraid that he might find himself replaced, that Zabuza would decide him useless and abandon him. He was similarly afraid he would prove himself useless before Zabuza realized it, and that he would disappoint his master. Strange to him was fear of a thing. Doubts were ethereal. He hadn't been scared of a tangible threat since the mob that had driven him out of his first home. He was scared of Naruto now. The Genin's eyes were locked onto him, glowing red, and the killing intent Haku felt from them was something he'd never experienced before. Not even from Zabuza, and every ounce of it was directed at him. It was the look of a hunter stalking its prey, a fox about to pounce on a rabbit. It was terrifying. As he watched, one of his master's water clones jumped at Naruto, swinging its sword. Naruto Naruto caught the blade, and then punched the clone with his other hand. The hit indented the clone's stomach, and then it evaporated, spraying steam across the bridge. There was a small cut on Naruto's palm, but it healed before Haku's eyes. Then the fox boy leapt. Haku reacted on instinct, jumping backwards and bringing his hands up in front of himself. Ice formed, layering up between him and the monster. There was a moment, and then Naruto smashed through the wall just as easily as he had smashed through the ice mirrors. Haku threw some senbon, but they bounced straight off the cloak of chakra, surrounding what could not be a normal genin. Then there was a blur, and Haku gasped as he was backhanded another 10 meters across the bridge. He gasped again as Naruto caught up to him and grabbed him by the throat before he could even hit the cobblestones. Naruto was right there, holding him up so that his toes barely scraped the floor. Haku could feel the heat from the red aura as he brought back one fist ready to punch. But he hesitated. Haku could see the conflict in his eyes. That was when the remainder of Haku's mask collapsed, and he was forced into direct eye contact with the beast. "I'm sorry," was all Haku could manage through the choking grip. Naruto's eyes widened again. The red slowly disappeared from his blue irises, and he dropped Haku, stumbling backwards. Naruto got out. "You-8 trigrams 32 palms. Haku stiffened as a series of strikes thudded into his back. His body below the face went numb, and he collapsed. "What?" asked the HYUUGA girl's voice from behind him. "Haku," Zabuza yelled in a surprising show of emotion as his student collapsed to the floor. That distraction was his downfall. Sasuke, with the unerring precision of the Sharingan, threw a kunai straight through the circular hole of Zabuza's moving sword, embedding itself into the ground. Razor wire glinted, and Sasuke pulled, forcibly restraining the weapon as Kakashi made hand signs. "Chidori!" the Jonin cried as lighting coalesced around his hand with a loud chittering sound. Without further time wasting, he buried it in Zabuza's chest. Haku let out a gut-wrenching scream. Zabuza coughed blood and staggered backwards with a gaping hole in his chest. "Well," he rasped. "Guess I won't be getting that paycheck." "No, I'm afraid you won't," called a voice from across the bridge. Hinata gulped. Sensei Kakashi looked up. Boots stepped out of the mist. Crossing the bridge that was only barely functional was a veritable army. Dozens of thugs, armed with God knows what, and at their head was a very short man with silly hair and black glasses. "I'm disappointed, Zabuza," continued Gato. "You made me a promise and couldn't deliver, but I suppose that means I don't have to pay you. Which is good. This is the guy you're working for?" Kakashi asked incredulously. Zabuza gave a low chuckle. "Times have been hard." He turned to his employer. Blood dripped from the hole in his chest. "My associate," he gestured to Haku, "is only temporarily out of action. Given your little gang would have he coughed up some more blood. No chance against these ninja if they weren't exhausted. I trust you will be willing to negotiate partial pay with him." Gato laughed. "Partial? Who do you think I am?" He turned to his thugs. "Boys, kill them all." The men advanced. Zabuza sighed. "Thought so." He turned to Kakashi. "Well, copy ninja, it's been fun. Now would you be so kind as to lend me a kunai?" From the floor, Haku gasped. "No, don't." Slowly, Kakashi drew a knife from his pocket and threw it across to Zabuza. He caught it, testing the weight. "Mighty kind of you." "Haku," he turned to his student. "I admit to feeling a little bad about pulling you off the streets and raising you as a weapon. Just a little. But at least now you're strong enough to make your own way in the world, so perhaps some would call that a good deed." Haku was teary-eyed. Zabuza turned to Gatu's men, balancing the knife on one finger. "Anyway, I'm dying, and these leaf ninja are too damn soft to kill you. So I'm sure you'll be fine. Good luck. I've got a contract that needs paying, and as this spineless bastard is too shrewd to use money." He gripped the kunai. "I'll have to take his blood." Then Zabuza moved. Kakashi watched impassively as the missing nin charged the mob. On death's door he may have been, but Zabuza moved like a man possessed, cutting left and right with reckless abandon. The terrified men swung weapons at him, burying knives and swords into his back. He killed them and kept going. In his last moments, Zabuza earned the title Demon of the Mist. His rampage culminated when he finally reached Gatu. Grinning at the screaming businessman, he drove his kunai into his stomach and brought it up, gutting him where he stood. Then, with a final grunt, Zabuza collapsed. For a moment, all that could be heard were Haku's sobs. Then Gatu's men started grumbling. "Well damn, the boss is dead. There goes our payday. I'm not going away empty-handed. I vote we take our money out of the town." "Hell yeah. They're bound to have something if the boss was spending so much crushing them." Kakashi rolled his eye and got into stance. "Looks like we aren't done yet, kids." His genin got ready. Hinata as impassive as ever, Sasuke tired but prepared, Naruto completely out of sorts, but physically the most ready of them all. This wasn't going to be pretty. It was a shame. Kakashi had hoped his students wouldn't have to kill for a while yet, but he didn't see a way to stop a good 100 fighters without getting his hands dirty. That was until he heard the shouting from behind him. "There they are. They're still holding the bridge. The ninja are with us." Come on, let's give them a hand. Team 7 turned. The Naruto shadow clone they had left behind was running towards them alongside Tazuna and Inari. Behind them was what looked like the whole damn town of Wave. Hey guys, called the Naruto clone. Sorry I took so long. Got a bit excited starting a mob and, whoa, what happened to me? Naruto gave his clone half a wave. Gatsu's mob took a collective step back as Wave's people formed a wall between them and the town. Everything hung in the balance. That was when Kakashi put his hands together. Your employer is dead, he told the hostile mob. There is nothing else in this fight for you except combat with Ninja of the Leaf and the resistance of the Land of Wave. Leave. Now, when they didn't immediately turn around, he started making hand seals. The giant water dragon that appeared from beneath the bridge, roaring steam, was the tipping point. Gatsu's men ran. It was amongst the cheering and celebration of Wave's citizens that feeling returned to Haku's body. The 32 palms was half the strikes of the 64, but much less than half the effectiveness. It took only minutes before Haku's pain chakra network was up and running again. He was able to stagger to his feet. Nobody paid him any mind as he walked past the laughing, smiling townsfolk. None except the HYUUGA girl, Hinata, but Naruto held her back. Haku wondered if her eyes could spot the hole in his heart. He approached their Jonin sensei. Naruto had said his name was Kakashi. He looked down at Haku. Haku knelt before him. Ninja of Konoha, he said numbly. Congratulations on your victory. Would you do me the service of killing me? Kakashi stared impassively. Then, hell no, it wasn't the copy ninja who had spoken. Haku looked up and to the side. Naruto was stalking up, angrily. My apologies, Naruto. Haku said, sincerely. I understand if you would rather claim my dash, okay? Stop that. Naruto held up a hand. He knelt down so he was on Haku's level. What? Do you think I stopped the Nine Tails from killing you for no reason? Haku didn't know what to say. Naruto pointed a finger in his face. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Stop acting like you don't have a soul. Start taking some fucking responsibility for your actions. Kakashi looked across at Hinata. Did Naruto just dash? I think he did dash. Your master is dead. Naruto continued. That's sad. I get that. But you have to move on. Decide for yourself what to do, who to care about, and decide for yourself what to do once you've screwed it up. But Haku cut himself off. I don't know how, he said simply. Naruto put a hand on his shoulder. Then I'll help, he replied with a smile. I like to think I'm pretty good at doing the right thing. Just no trying to get yourself killed again. Okay? Despite everything, Haku managed to smile. Okay. He stuck out his hand. Friends. Naruto grinned and shook it. Friends. And that, Kakashi added, is how to successfully capture and repurpose an enemy asset. Good job, Naruto. I'd commend your devious charisma if I didn't know you actually meant everything you just said. Tazuna walked up with Inari, smiling. Well, looks like everything's sorted, he told them. Once everyone is done spitting on Gatsu, we'll finish work on the bridge. It's gonna need a name, though, something dramatic. How about? Naruto made a pose. The Great Naruto Bridge. Mr. Tazuna, Kakashi said, please do not name your bridge after my genin. Yeah, that'd be pretty dumb, said Sasuke. Guys, come on, I think it works. Hinata shyly added, thank you. Hey, what's that thing Kakashi used at the end? Inari spoke up. Kakashi tilted his head. What? The water dragon jutsu. Yeah, that? You want to call it the Water Dragon Bridge? Sasuke snorted. No, wait. Naruto held up a finger. Call it Bridge of the Water Dragon. Ooh, exclaimed Inari, giggling. I like that one. Well, I guess it's decided then. Tazuna replied, chuckling. Are you going to stay? These people probably want to thank you. We do need to get back. Kakashi looked at his team. But I'm sure we can stay tonight. Provided you're feeding us, of course. Well, I have to make up for your shoddy pay somehow. Tazuna responded, chuckling. And now I think we just might be able to give you a real feast. You four are welcome anytime you want to stay. Oh, by the way, since we're wrapping this whole thing up, Sasuke started. Then he grabbed Tazuna by the lapels, activating his Sharingan. You see this, old man? Huh? You see the Sharingan? That's the Uchiha bloodline limit right there. Stop fucking doubting my heritage. Alright. Tazuna laughed it off. Calm down. I believed you from the start. You did. Yeah. I mean, why would you have lied? Then why? Sasuke begged. Tazuna shrugged. Well, I guess I was just fucking with you. I'm going to burn this bridge to the ground. Sasuke no dash 10 years ago. I told my wife it was nothing. Sniff the Fire Nation noble. That I'd be fine with the regular security. But no, she insisted I pay for real ninja. Still, I can't fault your performance against those bandits. I will ensure your fee is paid in full. Thank you very much, sir. I am glad we could be of use. Niji bowed, not too low, but low enough to indicate respect. Itachi mimicked him. The noble stared down at them for a moment, trying to detect the hidden insult. Finding none, he shrugged and walked away. Are we not going to tell him about the hidden stone assassination attempt? Niji asked quietly when he was far enough away. I see no reason to, Itachi said from beside him. Not after I dealt with the one who ordered it and just stopped all the ninja. Telling him would just increase tensions between Stone and Leaf when we're trying to make a deal with them. You don't think it would be useful to hold that over their heads in negotiations? Niji checked. Itachi tilted his head. Possibly, but bear in mind that we're after a lasting deal. Guilt from things like this fade quickly. We don't want them to break ties 5 or 10 years down the line. Niji nodded thoughtfully. True, my father never taught me much in the way of politics. It was mostly just how to look good for the main branch of the family. I understand your clan's silly internal matters. Itachi wrinkled his nose up slightly. Why do you think I sent you after the assassins and not the politician? I chose to pursue the assassins. Of course you did. My apologies. Niji shot Itachi a suspicious look. The latter just smiled innocently. The former knew damn well there hadn't been any genjutsu in play, and resolved to think on their earlier talks and check for manipulation. Then what did you do with the stone politician? It won't look good if his body shows up halfway through the talks. Oh, he's fine. Itachi waved dismissively. Over the next few weeks he will fall into a spiral of intense stress, and, some may say, insanity, culminating in a very embarrassing show of social suicide. You're going to make him kill himself. Niji's eyebrows rose. Social suicide. Itachi corrected. He'll do something incredibly embarrassing that ruins his reputation, after which he'll have an epiphany about the meanings of true power and happiness, and embark on a more honest life. I'm a pacifist, Niji, and you have such a wonderful way of showing it. The HYUUGA drawled. How do you intend to manage this? The seeds have already been sown, though it may be best if we could take some other missions in this area later, so I can check up on his progress. I did not expect I'd have to spend time cleaning after your messes. Niji sighed. And here I had hoped you would be precise. I am precise. In my destruction. Let's go. If we get back to Leaf fast enough we can watch the negotiations. Riveting. Oh fuck off. They are? Niji blinked. Did you just swear? No. Itachi, I didn't know you had such a foul mouth. Dash. We are done talking. Leaf. Now, a little more relaxed around each other than before, the two genin began the walk back home. And that concludes the first episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. God bless.